There we go. Hi, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting of the Nantucket Historic District Commission to order. It is Tuesday, July 28th, just after 4. And our board is as follows. I'm Ray Pohl, obviously live. Angus McLeod is live. Abby Camp live. Val Oliver, for those of you interested in, this is all business, so if she's on an application, she will not be sitting tonight. Stephen Welch just arrived live, and Connie Patton is here with us live. Carrie Thornwell on Zoom, and we're expecting that Joe Paul will show up a little bit later. So that's our board. We're only missing one, Val Oliver. For those of you in the room, please no recording unless you tell the board in advance. Those of you on Zoom have all questions, comments, etc. just through the chair. Thank you. Are there any revisions to tonight's very short agenda that I
There
should
are
know about?
none, Mr. Chair, but I also want to mention that Joe Paul is here now.
Okay, Joe Paul is now with us. Hello, Joe.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay. No revisions to the agenda. Okay, can I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Great. That was from Angus. On your motion, Angus?
Aye.
Abby?
Aye.
Stephen?
Aye.
Connie?
Aye.
And I'm in favor. It could have been a voice vote. Any commissioner comments before we move forward?
Mr. Chair,
Stephen?
that could have been a voice vote.
No, sorry.
That was my comment.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just
Thanks. We have some signs, you know, the drill on the 3 signs that we have before us. Can somebody do the honors?
motion to accept sign committee's recommendation.
Thank you, Stephen. I'll take everybody at the table. Voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. That carries. Any comments, questions right now for Holly? Oh, good. All right. So that kind of does make things a little bit easier. All right. So first order of business is something we held for review from our meeting of July 21st, 11 Blewett Court. And do we have somebody to represent that? No, I don't see her. Okay. Well, we'll come back to it. We're proceeding at a pace, at least so far. So now the next order of business is old business of 714. This is the pool at 3 Pops Lane. We have a sitting board, myself, Val, damn. Okay. Oh, but we have alternates. Okay. Myself, Abby, Angus, Connie, with alternates Thornwell and Paul. I'll just start with Carrie because she's first on the list. So there's our board. Okay, so I know there's a number of people that would like to speak on this, but first, oh, hi, Mark.
Hi.
Let's all. Okay, it's all up on the screen. I'm going to get it up on my screen.
I think it's the color.
Okay, everybody good? Is everybody, you guys all right over there? Ready to get started?
Yeah.
Ready to listen? Okay.
Thank you, Ray. Mark Catone representing the applicant. I think as it was stated, this application was before you last August 19th of 2025. It was held until we can get the proposed, or not proposed, but the approved structures in place with the understanding that would provide some additional screening. It might be a little easier for the board to review this application with those structures in place. We have the guest house is fully installed at this point, and you can see in the background, the foundation for the main house has been poured That's pending a small revision that will be before you next week, but that frame will be going up shortly as well, which will provide additional screening from Hither Creek. The outline you're seeing there in blue is the footprint of the pool. The pool is 12 feet by 12 feet. It's more like a plunge pool with minimum hardscape as shown on the plan. It's framed in a hard stone, potentially blue mist granite to be specific. It'll sit at grade. There is no fill proposed. That elevation is at 16 feet. So it will sit maybe a half inch above the grade. This is what we're talking about here. Everything along the left side of that image you see on the screen will be vegetated. I often say our clients do not want to be seen from a public way, and the pool should not be seen from a public way. So our site plan currently shows vegetation along that west side and along the south side to sort of wrap it. Next week, what you're seeing that outline there is a shed for a new business application in that location, which we feel will only provide additional screening. That shed has been staked out as well for reference. It's fitted with an auto cover, so no fencing is required by code. It will, let's see, the pool equipment is to be located on the interior of the lot or on the east side of the shed as you see it on the screen. It was previously shown on the west side, but to come into zoning compliance for this particular area, we needed further distance from the property line. So therefore it'll sit on the interior of the lot, not visible from a public way, presuming that shed is approved next week. We have done a survey of the neighborhood, and I believe it's in this packet. There are 14 pools. Do we have it?
Yeah.
All right, you want to, we have a hard copy here we can share. There are 14 pools in this neighborhood, and we've identified them, and we will circulate that among the board now so they have it for reference.
I
Yeah.
think I've got it.
Okay.
Wait, back down? Because it looks like it's page number 6 of 8.
This is 6.
Yeah.
Uh,
I had Kathy serve.
okay,
Didn't upload it on.
never mind.
Okay.
I
Did the commissioners have it though? Okay. So you can see there, we did survey just 4 lots west of this property. We identified a 75-foot long pool. Again, this is 12 by 12 and sits at grade. What else we got here? It would actually result in being the smallest pool by our survey in the entire neighborhood. It has been approved by the Conservation Commission last year, as well as the additional fractured hardscape that's there. The idea is actually to make it more of a water feature in the landscape that could be used as a plunge pool. We're not looking at a lot of decking, patio, hardscape. We want to keep it as kind of natural-esque as we can here. 3 Pops, as you know, is a limited travel way. It only provides access to 3 Pops and to the abutter to the west, the Hendricksons. Morans have actually their own independent access off Washington. So I think, unless there are any additional questions, that is my pitch at the moment. Thank
Okay.
you.
Mark, thank you. All right, let's see. In the room, who's here to speak on this application?
Our neighbor comment.
Yeah. So you just want to go to this mic? Make sure it's on.
And Mr. Chair, you did receive some abutters comments from Linda Williams as well.
Yes. And do we have anyone on Zoom that I should know? No.
I would encourage everybody to read Linda's package. It's quite,
Sorry. I
Comprehensive.
should have said this as you were approaching. Could you just give us your name for the record?
Sarah Hendrickson.
Great.
My husband, John, and I own 341 Nantucket Road. We're abutters to the west.
Thank you. Okay.
For HDC members who've had the chance to do a site visit, you've observed that the view from Nantucket Road all the way down Pops Lane is an unobstructed vista out to Hither Creek. and your observations were noted in the HDC minutes. As the photos provided by HDC staff tonight show, you can see how the view lines from Hither Creek, a waterway heavily traveled by boaters, have already been impacted by this project. For the proposed pool, it's impossible to know from the plans whether the pool and the proposed shed that was held from last week's meeting may worsen the impact on view lines from Pops Lane, Hither Creek, Jackson's Point, and Millie's Bridge. The pool and shed staking in the photos were taken on a construction site filled with equipment, building materials, and structures that are nowhere near completion. We respectfully ask the HDC to reaffirm its previous requirement that approval of the pool not be granted until HDC members can undertake a site visit after completion of the multiple structures. We would ask the HDC to consider the totality of this oversized development and its serious impact on Nantucket streetscapes and views from the waterways. As noted by many voices within the Nantucket community, this massive project is completely out of character with Old Nantucket. Respectfully, the HDC has discretion to invoke the three-strike rule. As pointed out in HDC staff comments, this is hearing number 3 for the pool. From our vantage point, there were other components of this project that went beyond 3 hearings in past HDC meetings. After nearly 2 years, and by our count, 15 HDC hearings, it feels like we are in the aggregate well beyond 3 strikes. For several of the applicant's prior submissions, HDC staff has pointed out inaccuracies, inconsistencies, and missing documentation. Is the applicant rushing through the HDC process and asking for cursory and quick approval on each incremental structure, the pool, the shed, fire pit, more square footage to the main house? The pool application is the latest example. It was submitted prematurely against the HDC's request to wait until construction was much further along. Rushing premature approvals can lead to decisions that fail to preserve one of the island's most treasured communities, Old Nantucket. Lastly, the HDC should be advised that we, and also Paul Moran, have endeavored to reach out to the applicant to share our respective objectives and concerns in the spirit of creating plans that enable everyone to enjoy their properties to the fullest, while preserving the Old Nantucket atmosphere and natural environment. Sadly, our efforts to date have been without effect. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda?
Yep.
You're next.
It's hard to put it any better than the Hendricksons have put it. But I don't know if she started out with the issue of the procedural problems. I know she said that it was premature. I gave you quite an extensive submission that I assume that all of you got, with all of the exhibits and all of the explanations, that this is procedurally premature. Because I've been out there several times, because in my submission to you, there are pictures from last week as well as Sunday. And it's nowhere near the state that you should expect them to have it. Simply putting 4 lines on a picture, which is up on the screen at the moment, and I included in my packet yesterday, is not a visual, it's not visually accurate. Because when I was out there, you could barely see one of the blue flags. You could see some of the orange ones, because that's the inappropriately cited shed, which is not before you this evening. You could see one of the little blue flags, and then you see a whole bunch of lumber stuff there. They are back before you with a extension of that side, which may further block it to some extent, but that means that construction on the site is not over. The site is a mess. When you guys saw it the first time, there was all these comments about, look at all the trees, look at all the foliage, absolutely no trees. The site has been absolutely cleared, except below the mark where it goes over the cliff and becomes part of the creeks, which they can't touch theoretically. So we're asking you to go take a view on your own, and we're asking you not to do anything with it and hold it until it is at that point where your minutes clearly state the applicant agreed to stake out the pool location after construction and return to the board for further review. You cannot possibly, whether you're at the Hendricks or whether you're a passerby on the publicly traveled way, which is Pops Lane, figure out where anything is because of all the mess on the property. So we're asking you to simply uphold the motion from August of 2025 and not allow another death by 1,000 cuts, which Sarah which referenced that we've been in here a million times. It was a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. And finally, you know, they moved the structures where they are appropriately sited within the envelope of the front house. The secondary dwelling, as you'll see, is very tall compared to everybody else. But we're asking you to stop with this and not deal with the merits. However, if you guys are going to go ahead without upholding your own statements in those set of minutes that you voted on, then we are ready to comment on the merits. But we reserve that right. If you're going to go proceed, we reserve the right to come back up here and talk about the merits in more detail vis-a-vis my submission from yesterday. So leave it up to you to decide whether you're going to proceed or whether you're going to hold it like you said before. And if not, we will be back up here and I'll talk more in depth about what's missing on the incomplete application due to no materials, the incomplete site plan, which you guys are much more diligent about extensive site plans showing where the walkways are, what the material is, what the exact screening is, not just a bunch of bubbles on a plan. So I ask you to be consistent with all the other pool requirements and visibility from Pops. You can see it's parallel to Pops up there, right at the very end of Pops. That shed isn't going to do anything to block this. We also don't know where the pool equipment is. We don't know the extent of the walkways. We do now know what size the pool is. We never knew before. It was 10 by 12. It was this, it was that. So now we've got a handle on where it's located. And it's not so much the location of the pool, it's the screening, it's the hardscape, it's all the rest of it that goes with it. And there is something else missing on the application, which is woefully incomplete. They've got a patio on it, which is also not called out on the application and is not called out on the plan as to what it is, the size of it, what's on it. And that is where the pool originally, I believe, was located and is perfectly visible from the creeks and from Pops Lane. We don't know what it is. We don't know if there's a fire pit there. It's out there by itself, up to the left of the house. So we will be back up here if you decide to go forward with it or you want to hold it and uphold what you voted for in August of 2025.
Okay, Linda, thanks. Anyone else that want to speak on this before it goes to the board?
Chair, am I able to make some points of clarification?
Briefly.
Very
Yeah,
briefly.
briefly.
First of all, I'd like to introduce Michael Kizelbosch as the owner. He's been at the various meetings. Michael has not been contacted by any of the butters, according to Michael. No one's reached out to them. We saw Linda on the property over the weekend, but no one's tried to have a dialogue with them.
Okay.
Also, cuts by 1,000, or death by 1,000 death cuts is, this was actually never discussed. We focused, if you recall, this is a much larger proposal early on. It was significantly scaled back and recycled the original structures. Both structures were structures that were existing on the property that have now been recycled. We never moved the main house. We moved the guest house, which was a former garage studio. And lastly, so the pool was never discussed. It was held for viewing once we had the structures in place. So we're back before you now. The guest house, which is the most significant element, is in place to see if we want to continue to have that dialogue. If you prefer to hold for the viewing, we're amenable to that as well.
Well, the fact of the matter is we're reviewing this application. Unlike last week.
Correct.
when we held it without comment. We are going to get comments from the board. So
Correct.
this is a review and whether the
Understood.
review
My point is
results
this pool was never commented on back in August, is what I'm saying. It was always held as we reviewed the main house and the guest house.
Understood,
Yeah,
Mark.
that's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else want to speak on this new stuff that we haven't heard? Or if not, I'm going to hear from the sitting board. Very briefly, sir. Yes, go ahead. At the mic, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't normally speak. My wife is, but just for the record, we will provide to you our correspondence with the neighbors and a meeting that took place between the Morans, just so you have
Okay.
a record. But I just want to,
I appreciate
Okay.
that, but I'm not sure that it's germane to what this board, the inner workings
I
between
agree with that. I
neighbors
just
is
find,
not really.
I just wanted to address the comment that
Okay,
the
all right,
architect-
fair enough, but, okay. All right, thank you. Okay, board members, I'm gonna call your names again so you all know that you're on the spot. Abby, Angus, Connie, Carrie out there in TV land, and myself. Who would like to begin?
I'm happy to start.
Thanks,
Um,
Angus.
So, yeah, I mean, it, if the intent is to have waited till this construction was done, yes, there is, the building is there, but there isn't the addition isn't on yet, and there was so much equipment and construction vehicles when I was out there that it was really hard to see anything. The one thing that I did notice is how much was cleared on the water side of the existing house, and how visible all this is from not just Pops, but from the boat ramp and from the bridge, and certainly from the water. But from the boat ramp, you're up at a certain elevation that brings you almost eye level with the bottom of the house. So it's not one of these situations where, you know, you're only seeing the top half of the house. So I do think that the review of the pool and anything else that's in the yard should wait till the lot is basically prepared for the construction of anything else. In other words, cleared any landscape that's there, because I think that will give both us and the applicant a fair assessment of the situation. Thank you.
Angus, thank you. What other member would like to go?
I'll go.
Oh, Carrie, very good. Thank you.
Hi.
Yep.
I agree with Angus. But I also think that this is a very small pool and it is tucked between the two buildings and there is a shed coming. And I think we should just hold off until the shed is actually up for an application, because the location of that, we can determine that to help make this thing for sure invisible, not reliant on vegetation, which might not do so great out there anyways because of the location. So I would suggest holding until and tracking it with the shed and holding off until the site is a little bit more clear of construction stuff. Thanks.
Okay, Carrie, thank you very much for the comments. Let's see, we have Connie and Abby.
I could go.
Connie,
I have to, I think I agree with Carrie. This is a small pool, 12 by 12. And I do think that the visibility, once all the landscaping and all the, you know, everything is done with our caveat, including the shed, will be pretty non-visible. But if we wanted to hold till we get the shed, you know, I'm all for that too. But I really believe that this is going to be not visible. And that's part of what we put on all the pools, not to be visible, and the grade change. Thank you.
okay. Connie, thank you. Abby, are you ready?
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said so far. So I would just, you know, it would be nice to know what the vegetation, it's such an open, sort of raw Nantucket landscape. So I'm interested to see what that landscaping actually is. But as Connie just said, it's in our purview to that pool will not be visible from Pops Lane. So I'm just curious about the driveway and what that screening will be. So I'm in favor of holding. Thank you.
Okay. Abby, thanks. So yeah, I too feel like the cart is a little bit before the horse. In terms of if you're just about to submit an application for the shed, why don't we get that on the table, A, so that we can see where it's going and to what degree it's going to be screening the pool and from where. Further, I think Holly has raised some good points about, you know, the vegetation, the landscape plan seems quite generic right now in terms of, there's a lot of cute little circles, but I don't think the material is really identified. As you know, Mark, we don't really get into the business of specifying types of plants, but I think out there it will be important to be doing indigenous vegetation and relatively low, because that is the landscape of Nantucket. But not so low, however, that we're talking about visibility from Pops Lane, but we also are talking about visibility from the other publicly traveled way, which is, of course, the water. So I am in complete agreement with, I think all of the board members are in agreement that we want to hold this to see what's going on with the shed. We want to have the landscape plan sort of fleshed out so that we really get a better understanding of what's actually being proposed. Yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you. We'll,
Well, nothing else to add.
the shed is before you next Tuesday.
Yeah, so
And-
I think reviewing them as sort of a pair, but with a landscape plan.
That's what I was just going to add. Bring the landscape designer who's on board to help detail this plan with some visuals as well. Make sure it feels Nantucket-like in landscape. And again, we're trying to screen something that's that high. So we'll be sensitive to that.
Okay.
Thank
great.
you.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Were you?
Oh, I was going to make a motion to hold for more information, including, sort of a delineation of what vegetation is there and then what's going to be proposed to augment it. And that would definitely be helpful in the review of the shed.
Okay. That's Angus's motion. I'm going to do a roll call here. So on Angus's motion, Abby,
Aye.
Angus,
Aye.
Connie,
Aye.
Carrie,
Aye.
and I'm in favor. Thank you all.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time. All right, now we're to old business of 728, first item of which is in Tuckernuck. Oh, Angus, you're chairing that one.
Okay, so who do we have for, is Stephanie
Oh, yeah.
here? Okay, great. Stephanie, do you want to screen share? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry about that.
Good
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So your board, Val Oliver isn't here today, so it would just be myself, Abby Camp, Connie Patton, and Joe Paul.
Okay.
And if you're comfortable moving forward with that, feel free to go ahead and screen share and present.
Yeah, let me just 1 second. I'm struggling to share. Mhm. Okay, you can see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
You can see? Okay. Let me go back. I cannot see where I'm sharing. Give me 1 second. I'm struggling to, I cannot see my screen myself.
It went away on our end too.
Yeah. My God. Give me 1 second. I'm not on my computer and okay, I think I'm going to be able to share. Okay, you are sharing, I think, right? If you go to the page, oh, 1 second. The last time, the comments were about the chimney. Now the chimney is complying with the Massachusetts code. We moved in the chimney. Now the chimney looks shorter, and it is shorter also. We shortened the chimney. Now the chimney is 2 feet above the ridge of the roof. And the ridge of the roof is at about 8 feet from the chimney. The rule is 10 feet, and now we're good with that. The other thing was the windows. You on top of the main extension, the window on top. If you go to the page, let me see. I think it's at the end. I'm looking at my plans right now. Give me 1 second. We did a comparison of the two. Okay, if you go to page A 102. We did the before and after. Okay, this one. On top, it's what we are proposing, and at the bottom is what you saw the last time. If I start with the elevation on the left, is the main elevation. It's the front of the house. You can see that the chimney is fixed. You told us last time that on the bigger volume, the window on top was too small and we had too much shingles, and you suggested to put a window like the one at the bottom. This is the first thing. After that, you were talking about the gang of windows, that we had too much gangs of window on the house. What we did in front, we just spaced the window of we put 18 inches between of them. And on the side, on the right elevation, we did the same thing, but not all of them, because it was weird to see all those windows. That what we did is the one on the corner, we spaced them with 18 inches also, and we kept the gang on the left side. And like I said last time, Mr. Parizo, which is our neighbor, his house is almost all gang windows like that. But we understand your point, and I think we're improving the house with your comments. If you go to the next page, the A103, in the back of the house, if you see on the left side, upper left, is what we're proposing. We removed on the existing little shed. We put only 2 windows now, and not 3 in the back. And on the other elevation, you can see that we fixed the chimney also. I think now the elevations are more balanced. We thank you because every time, I know it's a long process, but every time you're giving us comments, we're improving the house. I would like to thank all the committee for that.
Thank you for that. Are there any questions for the applicant? Holly, would you care to comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The only comment I have, I think the applicant has addressed your concerns, was the fact that this property has a conservation restriction on it, the Nature Conservancy, and they had written a letter with the last plans that you all looked at. And so I had requested at the last meeting for some sort of notification from them that they're okay with this. So that would be my recommendation, if the board is so inclined to approve today, that the applicant follows up with that, even if it's an email from the Nature Conservancy. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for that, Holly. Commissioners, you know who you are. So it's Abby, Connie, and Joe. Who would like to begin?
I could get to make some small comments.
Go ahead.
Can I just do a point of order?
Yes.
This might be ridiculous,
Go ahead.
but is anybody, there's a lot of people in the room. Is anyone
Oh,
gonna?
is anyone wanting to
goodness.
speak on this project in Tuckanuck? Okay,
Just
thank
making
you.
sure.
Yeah, there are a lot of people.
Mhm.
Okay, so go ahead, Abby.
Okay, so, right, I think it's coming along and I see where your vertical windows are coming from, that old clapboard white house. I see the proportions, are taken right off those, that little iconic house out there. I still feel that the first floor windows just should be evenly spaced. And I don't have a solution, but the gable, the window that's in the second floor, that's the same size. There's something about that's reading very vertical, and I don't know what that should be, whether that should just be a little bit smaller. And my only comment on the far right-hand side is that the 4-paned window in the gable there over the 2 windows should be a little bit smaller. It's sort of overwhelming, but I think it's coming along. And I think the front elevation is the most important one. I think the other ones look very Tuckernuck. I think it's just the spacing of the windows on that first floor, basically, and that long window on the second floor in the gable. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Abby. Joe or Connie?
I'm happy to go. This is Joe speaking. I appreciate the changes. I feel like you've made improvements at each step. And the gable window that Abby just referred to, yeah, I wouldn't object to it getting maybe 8 inches or 12 inches shorter and staying a double hung versus the previous window. But I do like the simplicity of all of the window styles matching, even though it is kind of oversized. So for that reason, I think that what you're presenting now is appropriate. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Connie?
Yes, I do appreciate all the changes. And I just, yeah, I feel it's appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. So yeah, the window separation in that where there are those 4 windows in the gable, I kind of pictured them being more evenly spaced when we were calling for them to be separated. Using the what is it? The Johnson's house that was the photograph of the White House over there as a reference. I think looking at the proportions of the second floor window compared to the first floor window is probably sort of the proportions that would work best in this situation. And the gable to the right of that, to the right of the door with the porthole, I think that could certainly get pulled up a little bit. Everything is so vertical that those window panes are kind of square in comparison. I could probably get a little narrower, but I appreciate the revisions to the chimney and all the other revisions. And I think this is really close. It might even be
I can try a motion.
an
if you want.
it could be an exhibit A possibly. Yeah.
Yeah, I could.
And so, do I hear a motion?
Did I hear that Abby is going to try a motion?
Yeah, she was.
I think we might have heard something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'd say a motion to approve with the following changes, that on the far right in the main gable on the first floor, that those 4 windows be evenly spaced, and that the second floor window be reduced in its height by 8 to 10 inches. And on the far right, in the little gable, that window be reduced by a couple of inches and moved up into the a higher part of the gable. That's my motion.
And the conservation.
And that a letter of what we do gets written to the Conservation Foundation. The Tuckanuck. No.
Nature Conservancy, who holds the restriction, they just confirm that they're okay with these changes as you approve.
Okay. And that letter be included in the
And that was an exhibit A.
yes,
On your motion,
I'm an I.
Joe,
I'm an I.
Connie,
Aye.
I'm an I as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everybody. By the way, we are in the White House right now, in the Phyllis Johnson house. You can see all her books behind me
Lucky you.
and the
Back
windows.
over-
Yeah. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Now, thanks, Angus. Now we're going to go to 1 Cherry Street. Ethan's here to rep. Board, myself, Abby, Angus, Connie. No alternates. Okay, so you've been working with a 4-person board? I kind of forget it.
Yeah,
Okay, all right, so here we are. Hi, Ethan.
Lou.
You just go whenever you're ready.
We removed the garage, we removed the exterior staircase, and we added a front porch. It's sort of like Cumberland Farms has, but instead of concrete, it's gonna be wood with a ramp cut into it, so it looks like a porch. And we added that front streetscape that you wanted from Orange Street.
Got it. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions for Ethan?
Mr. Chair, you did receive a butters note comment, so I don't know if they're in the queue or not. There's a hand raised.
Okay. Oh, Christine, if you want to comment, go ahead. Make sure you're unmuted. You there? Christine?
Hi, sorry about that.
There we go. There we go. Okay,
Sorry about that. I apologize.
no problem.
I think I know I did, as well as multiple neighbors, shared some comments for the June meeting, and I think we didn't need to say anything at that point. I think because you guys already shared all of your comments, so I don't think we needed to add those at the time. So I believe that myself, 5 Cherry, 16 Cherry, 6 Cherry have just voiced concern for previous iterations, and I don't think this newest submission has addressed those. So I think we just wanted to bring those up again. this new building is now being proposed for both commercial use and residential use, increasing obviously the square footage and the overall footprint. And I completely understand that parking is a planning issue. I think our concern kind of boils down to the point that we're overdeveloping a lot, where I have shared photo evidence of people parking illegally on Cherry Street, neighbors texting each other, does anybody know whose card that is? I can't safely get out of my driveway, and so forth. And so I think with the photos I've shared and the comments I've shared previously, I think our biggest concern is just the overdevelopment of a lot that is already at full capacity. And by increasing the footprint, we've asked to see a site plan. And I don't think in any of the submissions we've actually seen a site plan, because it is a shared parking with the gym at Orange Street. And so I think we're also wondering what the screening looks like, because the proposed commercial is now facing directly onto Cherry Street. So I think we're also concerned about pedestrians. And we've asked that for the last 3 or 4 submissions, and that never seems to be part of the package. So I think we would like to get more clarity on what the screening is. And, you know, again, just voice all of our concerns about that.
Is that it, Christine?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Anyone else? I'm going to hand it over to the 4-person board. Abby, Angus, Connie, and myself. Anybody care to begin?
I'm happy to begin. Sure.
Go ahead, Angus.
Well, I appreciate the streetscapes, the removal of the exterior stair and the attached garage, all those, including the porch going to something more typical, are all welcome changes. It is, I mean, just a very basic requirement of all HDC applications to have a site plan.
The site plan's included.
Is that page 13?
So to be clear, there is a site plan. There is not what I would call a landscape.
That is
plan.
coming next
Yeah.
by the landscape designer. On the-
It's on free for, let me see. Can't tell what page I'm on. It's right after the photos.
Is it?
It's the page right after the photos.
Um,
It's a site plan, not a landscape plan.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a
I-
separate submission.
I think the issue is that normally it's like, okay, this is the parking, this is a walkway, not necessarily about planting beds or, you know, anything that would be like a landscape, I guess more hardscape, but just sort of how this sits and what's around it. To sort of get a perspective of like, is there parking that is all on the north side? Is that just parking lot that goes right up to the north gable?
As it is currently, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I would just, I think that it still is reading tall. I think there are things that could happen, like the eave coming down, with the head casing sort of getting lost in the fascia, at the eave on the south side.
Yeah, I can do that.
And it does seem like a lot of shingle area on the east elevation. I think maybe there could be a window in the upper gable.
Can you scroll to the east?
But I appreciate all the changes that have been made. I think it'd just be helpful to sort of know more about the context of its siting and what's going to be around it. Thank you.
Okay, Angus, thanks. Let's see. Oh, Connie, I think you were ready to go, right?
Yes, so I appreciate the changes, especially the removal of the stairs and the garage. But I still have concerns over the overall height and mass. I think what's difficult is what we have there currently to try to wrap our heads around what is proposed. But that being said, I still think we need to do something to mitigate the overall height of this building. And especially where it's located on Cherry Street in the historic district. Thank you.
Connie, thank you. Abby, are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just overall, it just, I'm trying to think what this is going to look like looking up from Lower Orange. What's the impact of this building still? To me, it seems very impactful on the site. But I appreciate the changes you've made. Let me just peek at that. 26.7, okay.
Can I just say it's a Essex home, so therefore it has that double floor system of 2 feet with normal buildings 1 foot. And if they built this normally, it'd be a foot shorter. It's just because it's a manufactured home.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess it's just in a general sense, what is the impact of this on the site? That's my concern still. But thank you for the changes.
Abby, thank you. So, I think, the things that you've done, the revisions that you've made are good. There's no doubt that this is going to be a change from the, tiny little fast forward building that we all know and love. Removal of the back stair is a big concession. The addition of the porch, I think, is good because now we have something that feels a little bit more residential. And the third item, the removal of the garage, that's sort of a double-edged sword for me because I like it when a building like this has a single story mass. We have it in the porch, but like the garage was, yes, more ground coverage. Well, but it's gone now, so I'm gonna just judge this on its own merits. I think I was gonna ask if this was a prefab because what I'm noticing is that we have this nettlesome shingle space between the head casings of the second floor windows and the eave. And I think that would be an easy way of getting the ridge down at least a little bit. Which would be that would be positive. And the other thing that is not helping with the scale of this building is the fact that the second floor windows that you have are narrower and shorter than the first floor windows. And I think that gives an erroneous view that something's actually taller than it is because your scale reference is changing. Excuse me. So I'd like to see the windows at least get to be the same width on the second floor as they are on the first floor. I think having more glass in relation to shingle is going to be helpful for this building. I also agree that adding something up in the gable ends would be helpful for the same reason. Less shingle, more detail is going to be what helps this building. So, and all my comments are based on the fact that this, at least according to your site plan, is 100% visible from everywhere.
yes.
I think to Angus's point, if we had not just a site plan, but a landscape plan, as the neighbor has requested, but Angus has also requested, I think that would allow us to get a better sense of how this is all gonna feel grounded in what seems to be a sea of asphalt right at the moment.
I know.
So, you've heard from the board. I'm certain that we're going to be requesting some revisions here.
Yeah, I'll
right?
have them file the site plan is when we submit the next one, but the site plan will be new business. Those will be old, I guess. Actually, they'll both be old, so we'll file them all together. So you have the site plan with this as a separate application, but together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, so, you can file the site plan to be heard on new business. That would be next week, right? No, not next week. Okay, well, anyway,
Well,
you're going to file an official site plan that we can approve independently But for our purposes in reviewing this application, you can just have the site plan be a little like extra piece that we look at, approved or
I'll
not
add it
approved,
to
so
it.
we get a sense of what where it's going.
Perfect.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Can I
All
have a motion to hold for revisions
Thanks.
and additional information?
So moved.
Okay, thanks, Abby. We're all at the table, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Great, thank you. Thank you, Ethan. Okay, now we are at 19R Hooper Farm. Is Reed here? Reed, you out there in TV land? Okay, while he's
Yes, I am.
there we
Sorry.
are. Okay. Reed, I'm going to announce your board for you, okay? Because you're missing Val tonight. Myself, Abby, Stephen, who's been silent so far, Joe Paul, and Connie Patton. Okay?
Got it. Thank you very much.
All right. So Reed, the mic is yours.
Appreciate it. I just requested to share screen if that's
We would love that.
possible. There we go. Okay, so this is for 19R Hooper Farm. The last time that I came before you, there wasn't really any comments on the proposed dwelling that you see here. Really, all that was asked for was some context for some buildings that have been approved at 17 and 19 respectively. Just to remind you of the form, it's a rather simple 1.5-story structure. And this is some of the information that was requested. So one of the things at the top here was a roof plan, site plan of the adjacent properties. Again, I'll reiterate that the buildings on, zoom in here so you can see, 19 and 17 have been approved. So we're talking about 19R here, and more specifically the rear right building. We were also asked for the streetscape from Hooper Farm and Cartwright, so I've provided both of those as well. You can see 19R sort of lightly faded in the back, excuse me, from Hooper Farm, and the street elevation from Cartwright Place as well. So while the buildings again in front are already approved, I think that the 1.5-story nature of the rear building sort of sits it back and at a more modest scale than the front buildings. And I will also share just one more image. And I apologize, it's not a more full-on image, but that's the existing house on the lot. And then also to the right, you can see that there's actually sort of a 2-story with a dormered attic structure that does share a sort of kinship with the dormer style that we are proposing on the south elevation, which is what would face Hooper Farm, which is the same orientation as what's shown in the picture here. So I'll leave it at that for you all to comment. Again, there wasn't really much to comment for the building itself, just holding for this information. So I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, Reed, thank you. No one in the audience on this one, right? Okay. Any questions from the board?
I have
If-
one,
Yes, Stephen.
through Mr. Chair. Hey, Reed, when was the leftmost lot, the 2 dwellings there approved?
I would have to take a look
Roughly.
at it. It would have been approved. We're in July. I would say May. I would say early May.
Okay, thank you.
A couple months ago. That it?
Yep. Well, for
Oh.
questions,
Okay. Who'd like to begin?
I'll go.
Thank you, Stephen.
So I had asked for the streetscape because I was concerned about the impact of the density here. And what I found is it really reinforces my concern. The lack of open space on this lot as compared to the lots, well, historically the lot that was there and the characteristic setting that existed, which was, as you can see, the single dwelling in the middle. And now it's flanked by 5 cohorts, which is probably a little more than double the density. Well, it's multifold the density of the prior existing. But homes have to be built. I understand that. But at the same time, it's apparently at least double the density of the neighboring lots. So for me, the structure individually, it's a charming enough little structure, cottage style, no, you know, like a more contemporary cape with dormers. Yes. However, I think it's too much. There's not enough open space on the subdivision of lots. And I think it's really changed the character of this area dramatically. So, I would suggest that this would be akin to, if you look at the diagram, the elevation and the plans probably before you and on the screen, the small cape in the streetscape below the site plan. And yeah, and also shown on the site plan at the corner of Cartwright and Hooper Farm. That seems much more appropriate to me for this location. I would add perhaps that it be rotated, if that were to be implemented, that gable would rotate to be parallel to Cartwright.
Is that it, Stephen?
Now, I think an important element of this regardless is, even with that modification to the smaller cape, to the actual cape style home, is that we don't approve anything until we have a landscape plan. I know we'd only be tying the development of this lot to the landscape plan, but I think that's a really important element of this subdivision being at all successful in terms of starting to integrate with the surroundings. This, if you'll recall, this was the area that we had discussed at length, turning into a ranch zone because of the historic ranches. And this little ranch has literally been swallowed up by these homes. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Stephen, thank you. Let's see.
I can
So
go.
that brings me to a question though.
Abby, go ahead.
But which buildings exist on this lot right now? Have any of these been okayed by us? And what is existing? That middle
One
the
exists.
middle one exists? Anything else we've
Lower right two have foundations.
lower right?
Left, nothing's been built yet, but approved.
Okay, the lower two buildings have been on the corner of Cartwright and Hooper.
Have
Right.
Foundations.
Have
Correct.
foundations, so those are okay.
And the two on the left are approved but not constructed anymore.
Oh.
In other words, this building that's under review right now is the only one that's unapproved.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Well, that's why, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna add quickly because it's topical. That's why I thought the concept of making this smaller and rotating it to create a perception of open space would be important. Even though it's on the backside, at least it's still salvageable, that character and setting from Cartwright.
Okay. Abby, did you want to continue or was that just a question?
That brought in a question. I was going to comment about, I wanted to know how big the trim was on the windows. It looks kind of thin, and the corner boards and the trim around the front door. Everything seems sort of, I know you're trying to keep it cottage-like, but it's almost seems underly sized. And I think if, for instance, that front door, that's like you got to make sure you get on that step because that stoop is pretty tight. So I would do something about the front door and the trim to make it a little more generously sized. And I'll wait to hear what other people have to say.
Okay,
Thanks.
Abby, thank you. Connie, I think you were ready, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think architecturally, the house itself is simple enough, if even a little underwhelming, as Abby mentioned, with the fenestration and the front door. But I also have concerns about the density of this lot and all of the buildings, all the structures that are on it. And I'm not feeling that, that this structure itself even though architecturally appropriate, would be okay on this lot. Because it's just too dense. It's just too, there's too much. Thank you.
Okay, Connie, thank you. Joe?
Yes, I'm sitting here in silence. I really appreciate the street elevations. I remember when this was reviewed earlier, it was hard to make sense of the organization of, I guess it's 3 lots, 1 lot that's turned into 3. And the streetscape and graphically, I find it very helpful. I actually have less of a concern after seeing this than I did the first time that this went through. And I think I have a better understanding of the scale of the buildings. I mean, as a footprint diagram, there's no arguing that it's dense. But then, like when I look at this from Hooper Farm Road, moving from left to right, we have a 1.5-story structure, and then you're looking through to a structure that is a 1-story eave. Then you have a 1.5 stories, and then on the corner, we've got the smallest structure, which I think is the right structure to be turning the corner onto Cartwright. And then at Cartwright, that street elevation, we've got the gable end of that building that turns the corner, and then the gable end of the building that we're thinking about or reviewing. And in the back, you see 2 other 1-story structures. So I guess of the 6 buildings on this property, 3 of them have 1-story eaves. And on Cartwright, we've got a lot of distance between the building on the corner and the one that is up for review. There's no denying that as you fly overhead, it's dense. But I think that the impact along Cartwright is definitely softer than I imagined it to be. The one thought I had when I saw this before we all started talking was whether or not I was kind of hopeful that the little gable that projects off this was towards the street side instead of having the full 1.5-story gable on Cartwright. But I think that would only amplify the density feeling, and you'd create a pinch point between these buildings. I guess that's a long way of saying that we've got 5 of these 6 buildings have been approved, and the one before us is sort of medium height. It's the eaves aren't 1-story and they're not 1.5 stories. They're somewhat in between. I feel okay with it. I think the design is simple enough. And I think the variation in height and the diversity in the design makes me less concerned about the pause that I have when I look at the site plan. I don't know if that makes sense, and I understand it's differing than my previous 2 board members, but I'm feeling more convinced. Thanks.
Okay, Joe, thanks. Well, my thoughts about this are more in line with Joe's. You know, the density of this area is dictated by zoning. Now, we are in control of the scale of the buildings. Of course, if these were all 2-story buildings, it would be a serious mess. Unfortunately, what we have is we have buildings that are larger than this that are already approved. And so this being the last piece in the puzzle, it's getting what I feel like is, a undue amount of scrutiny. Having said that, I do agree with the comments, concerns that were made regarding kind of the trim package. It seems spare to the point of it's a little too minimalist. I think it could stand to have a decent frontispiece, maybe perhaps larger windows, etc. But Joe and I are in the minority, and it sounds like the consensus view is to scale this down to sort of make the 6 buildings that are there less impactful in general as the site that comprises 3 lots, right? It's 3 lots now? Yeah.
Could I say one more?
Yeah, go ahead, Abby.
architectural thing?
I've said my piece. Thank you. Yeah.
Just, I was looking at that little appendage on the far left with,
Yeah.
with the French door, and I'm looking at the site plan, and that French door opens onto really nothing, and I was just wondering, why wouldn't you have the French doors looking out onto the lawn? Or, so I'm just, unless this is a duplex and I'm missed that's the front door or something.
Mm.
But, yeah, I just, that could be a window on the front of the house, and then I would move the French doors around to the side, just because if it were my house, I'd want to look out the French door and see a lawn. But, so instead of the corner of somebody's house.
Okay. I think what we need is some revisions here, folks.
Okay,
Debbie, can I,
sure.
Mr. Chair, one other?
Yeah, Stephen.
You know, along the lines, this is a cape with a 10-foot ceiling and dormers on both sides of the gable. I think there's a lot that could be done to minimize both the height with respect to the eave on the front and the back. You know, 8 foot is still pretty generous in a cape, and it would be 2 feet shorter. It would also help to bring windows in proportion. And if you notice the south and the east elevations, and the north and the west, the gable window is out of alignment, it appears, with, is that a,
You mean not centered?
no, height-wise? Yeah, on the gables.
Height-wise.
It's lower, I believe it's lower on the gables than it is on the dormers. Maybe not.
Which raises the other point of, this looks like it has eave plus breeze board plus head casing on the
Yeah, so it's like all of this is, it's over, in my mind, it not only is it oversized to begin with, but what's here, if this were approved, is oversized in those regards. So, just to be clear, on the gable windows on the west and east versus the dormer windows on the south and the north, the gable windows are about 1 foot or 1.5 feet lower sill height than their counterpart windows in what would appear at least to be some of the same rooms. So it's changing the perception of the east and west elevation, the height between the windows on the first floor and the second floor. I think in a positive way is drawn, but in reality, they're going to be higher. So that brings me back to the point where this could be an 8 foot. The roof pitches could be shallower. They've got the dormers up there. They have plenty of height for 7 foot, 7'6" ceilings. The dormer, the head casings could be buried in the top plates on the dormers to diminish their the perception of their height, so on and so forth. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Thanks, Stephen. How about a motion?
yeah, I'll make a motion to hold for revisions.
Okay, very good. On Abby's motion, Stephen,
Aye.
Abby,
Aye.
Connie, Joe,
Aye.
and I'm in favor. Thanks, Reed.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you next time.
All right.
All right. 34 Washington. Here we are. Good. Let's see. The board here, myself, Angus, Abby, Stephen, Connie. All of whom are at the table, so we can do a really quick motion on this. Voice vote. Okay. Your name for the record, and then we can get started.
Jonathan Silva, I'm here with Upland Architects representing Charles Gibson and the town for the new Harbor Master building. Also have with me Bob Medeiros from Upland Architects. Before I begin, I did submit a supplemental document with the presentation for today that kind of outlines the changes between what was submitted in 2020 and approved versus what our revisions are.
I think Stephen had requested that the last time, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do have it on a hard drive and I have hard copies if that's helpful. It was on the portal when I checked.
Well,
Yes, when I submitted this document, that was also submitted.
you said you had hard copies?
I do, and I also have it on a
How
drive.
many?
I have 8.
Okay, that's great, because everybody's at the table. We can all look at those, and could you give at least one to staff so that they have a copy?
Yes.
Holly, you want it?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Yeah, it says July.
Oh, yeah, this is actually this is in my package. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm looking at it.
When I checked on Friday, I did see it online.
Okay. All right. So with this, why don't you start into it?
Yes. So I know that there were staff comments that were relating to this specific format of that was a request from our last meeting. But if we start with the second page in that document, the north elevation, we basically outlined in 3 categories the changes that were made from the 2020 design based off of why we made that change. And what you see in red is essentially any revision that we made in regards to raising the first floor elevation height in order for us, when we value engineered the overall construction of this building from the previous architect, we had to make some modifications to the exterior because of that elevation change on the first floor. We maintained, as you can see, the overall building height that we had previously. And then aside from those revisions, we had any drawing coordination that we found of things that were not necessarily coordinated in the previous design that was submitted that we've have flushed out. And then in blue, anything that is a design improvement related to the program that's on the inside. So I guess from a high level, I can go through each of these individually, or I can just kind of give a high level brief.
Macro would be good.
Okay, yeah. So the primary change that you're seeing here, there's 2 components. One being that because we raised that first floor level, we have a much lower ceiling height. So we had to remove all the transom windows that were on that first floor level. And with that, you'll see that we wanted to still have some daylighting windows into the restrooms, the public restrooms that are there. So we essentially moved those windows down and we replaced the 2 windows in single door, or 3 windows in single door with French doors at the information lobby area for the harbor master. And then, so that's primarily the change when it comes to windows. I will point out that because the tower element is on an angle, the elevation makes the windows look like they are different from the windows that are on the main facade, but they are all the same. And then the other primary change is the fact that we removed the winding ramp because we had to raise that first floor elevation so high. We removed the ramp because we weren't going to have the ability to fit that on the site, and we replaced it with a lift. And with that, with 2 revised stairs, one facing the pier and one facing Washington Street. So that's that primary gable structure that you're seeing there. So on the ground level, you have the entrance to the lift that brings you up to the public restroom and showers. And then that's primarily the changes on this elevation, other than some mechanical louvers that were added. And then the skirting. So overall, the approach with the skirting, I know that was a comment that we had at the last meeting, was our approach to it. And we are, in terms of materials, we are proposing that we use cedar everywhere except for where you're seeing in white, being composite white trim. And the railings are composite and white. And that's what we're currently proposing. Everything else is real wood cedar. That differs from our last presentation. And the slats, we have a 5-inch slat with a 1/4-inch spacing as recommended. The difference that you'll see is that on the building, we've tried to maintain the vertical slats, and then around the porch, because we have such a larger face, it is a horizontal slat. And you'll see that as we move through the other pages. So we flip to the next page where you're seeing the south facing elevation. And that has probably a little bit more visibility because there isn't an adjacent building on that side. Is there some green space on that side? As I mentioned, because we removed the transom window that's over that side door, and lowered everything, we installed a window at the side door there instead in place of that. And the windows that you're seeing underneath the gable on the left side of the building, we introduced one additional window to have equal daylighting between the men's and women's public restrooms. We basically provided further detail on the lattice work that was there that was previously proposed. It has to go a little bit higher because of the raise, but the only other significant change I would say would be the stairs, where we had to essentially have the stair turn on itself in order to account for the additional run that we needed when we raised that first floor level. On the next page, west-facing elevation, this faces Washington Street. The primary change, other than realigning some of the windows to accommodate the restroom layout, and obviously the height of the building increasing, we have that gable structure that's over where the lift is now, and the top of the landing that you're seeing now at that elevation where you previously didn't see before. And then on the last page,
Excuse me.
yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but I just want to be clear. So you said the height of the building increasing. I don't think you actually meant.
So no, so if I said that, I apologize. The height of the building did not increase.
The
Just
height of the
first
floor
floor level increased. Yes.
But the height of the building is the same.
The height of the building is the same, which
Okay,
was
thank you.
the max we were able to go.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, absolutely. That maintained. That did not change. Because that first floor height elevation changed, we had to make some modifications because of that. So as I had noted, the primary change that you're seeing here in this elevation is that gable that you're seeing from the side perspective on Washington Street that now covers the lift that is in place where the wheelchair ramp was. That's kind of high level the changes that were made from the 2020 design that was approved. I'm hoping that we addressed all the comments from the last meeting, but we're here for your feedback and suggestions, and if we need to make any further adjustments, please let us know.
Okay. Thanks. I'm sure we'll have questions for you. Speaking of which, does anyone have any questions for our applicant?
Yeah, I have a question.
Abby Camp.
Okay. So on the cover of your, your handout here, you have the windows are 6/6.
Yes.
And
So I asked that we reference the CAD drawings that aren't colored in terms of the specifics details in regards to lights. We kind of threw this in, hopefully just to aid the conversation. I know the materials were of concern at our last meeting, and we wanted to provide something that referenced the colors, but there are some details that are not 100% accurate, like the amount of lights in the windows.
okay, because that was one of my,
So we maintained the 8/12, which is what was originally in the design throughout. So that what you're seeing here is inaccurate. I would
it's
reference
inaccurate.
It's
in this colored elevation, yes,
Oh,
just in this one.
just in that one.
Can I
The-
add to
the- These are
Yes.
the ones that you should be focusing on.
yeah.
Yes, Stephen.
I just through Mr. Chair, and not, I understand this is for illustration only, but this is dramatically inaccurate. I mean, the massing of the dormer versus the the height of the shingle courses above and below the second floor windows. There's a dramatic difference. Like this is much more appealing. Like if you can change, my motion might be to change it so that it looks like the rendering.
Okay.
Because this looks much more appropriate with respect to proportions and finishes and so on and so forth. But I just wanted to be clear when we're looking at this image is not anywhere near replication with respect to that size and massing of those elements.
Thanks, Stephen.
I also have a question.
Yeah, go, Connie.
Pardon my ignorance, but on this elevation, on the north elevation,
Mhm.
on the proposed revised exterior, you said the white is, it's not gonna be, the shingles, right? And you said the white was some kind of composite?
I was referencing the first image that we were just looking at previously.
This white space,
No, no.
I'm confused. Is that gonna be shingled or is that white space?
Oh, Connie, I think if you look at this image,
Mhm.
what he's suggesting is the things that sort of look brown
Yes.
are either gonna be shingle or natural red cedar boards, okay?
What about,
Anything that's white, well, that's
this.
different though. I mean, it gets confusing
Yeah.
because this gives a better sense of what's actually painted white than those drawings do.
so this whole wall here is white?
No,
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 okay.
see, if you look.
No,
at-
yeah,
If you look at
yeah.
this,
Yeah.
Yes,
you know, it's shingled.
okay.
I believe that
Yeah.
wall behind the porch is.
It
shingled.
is. It is. The reason why there's no hatch on the drawing is just to show the difference in
Thank
that it's
you.
further back. Yeah.
So.
No,
thank you.
please.
I'm like, oh, that's
Well,
white.
it was somewhat. Anyway.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Any more questions? Comments?
I can go.
Yes, Abby.
To Stephen's point, that the rendering on the cover of this, where you have the 6/6s, I think that's a lot more Nantucket than these 8/12s. Staying on the front of this, where you have the sign Nantucket Harbor Master, I think that shingled wall should just be simple, no extra spindles on it. If you see where it dips down, makes a kind of a cutout. I
Yeah.
think just
Oh.
a simple wall, shingled wall would be nice.
Okay.
Okay, that's a kind of, I'm not sure how I'm gonna explain that, but, so you've got this great sign, Nantucket Harbor Master, and then right above it is like a vent, like, and on the, somewhere else, I thought you had something decorative, like a sundial or something. I don't think that's what you want to see right over the sign. I think maybe something decorative, or think of another place to, if you need that vent, maybe it goes somewhere else, but,
Okay.
that seems to be taking away from the front of this building. And then lastly, architecturally, so when you're looking at the front of that house, this building, on the second floor where you have the 3 gang windows,
Mhm.
that roof to the left, it cuts that tower in half, and the tower is sort of a defining feature of this building. I think if that were brought in a bit and we saw more of the tower from this particular elevation, it would be more successful. So, those are just my thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, Abby, thank you. We're gonna hear from all board members.
Yes.
Unless they have a question for you. Abby, thanks. Let's see, who's up next?
I can go.
All right, Connie.
I guess I do have another question. The windows are Anderson? Is that what's proposed?
Yes, we maintained the existing windows that we had in the 2020 submission that were approved.
Okay.
And that's why we maintained the 8/12 that we had.
Okay. Yeah, I think I have to agree about the grill over that takes away from the nice sign. But I think overall the structure is appropriate, and I think, yeah, it works. Thank you.
Okay, Connie, thank you. We have Angus and Stephen.
I can go.
Yes.
So, I agree with, Abby's comments. I do think those 3 windows, could, in the dormer on the north elevation, on the sort of that presentation page, they could get more evenly spaced, which would reduce the amount of sort of blank shingle area. I'm assuming that that's grabbing room space up top. So ideally, the corners would just come into the windows, but if the dormer needs to be that big, I would evenly space the windows. I would get rid of the shingles above the windows, as in bringing the eave down. Our building with Nantucket in mind calls for pulling the dormers down from the actually going up to the peak, to the ridge of the main structure. So maybe that whole thing could drop. Same thing in the tower. The 6/6 would be preferable to the 8/12. I agree about the shingle rail in that gable on that north elevation. The French doors that are proposed would want muttons with a kick panel. And kind of curious about the panels on the south elevation at the bottom of the lattice. I would probably want the lattice to just go all the way to the bottom. And then wherever the boarding is underneath the first floor, to be vertical rather than the mix of the horizontal and vertical. In the east elevation, there was a window in that main gable, and I think there's still room to fit one of the windows that is below and adjacent to up the doubles, but just a single window. It seems like a lot of shingle space. The same thing in the east elevation with the doors that were replacing the windows, would want muttons and a kick panel. And the same thing with the vertical boarding below that, the horizontal boarding to be vertical. And the last thing is that dormer just seems so top heavy. If it could push back, further in, that one that faces north, you really see it from the east, which is, a lot of this is going to be visible, but that's really visible. And I think Abby's idea about moving that gable, the main gable, back a little bit, you wouldn't have that weird sort of intersection with the tower where that sort of does a hockey stick over the tower roof. If that could push back some. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Angus, thank you. Stephen, you ready?
Sure, through Mr. Chair. So the first floor covered porch, are those round or square columns?
Square.
Okay, and they're gonna be a cedar casing?
Yes.
All right. So I think for me, I really, I wasn't kidding around. The illustration is much more appropriate. I think the heights of the floors, the dormers, the tower, the windows should be as close to that as possible. First and foremost. And then there's a large variety of patterns here. You've got the balusters, you've got the FEMA floodplain panels, then you've got a mix of lattice, then you've got panels under the lattice with the planters, and kind of adding to what in a field vocabulary becomes a distraction. You have those atypical reduced height shingle wall at the friendship entry. So then you underneath the gable on the first floor on the covered porch, that kind of sleigh bed shape relief cut into the shingle wall, and then the balusters. That I think traditionally would be just a wall on each end and a square cut vertical, and then your railing would die into the shingle wall. I'm not being critical to be critical. Our waterfront is extremely simple. I mean, we've got, 12 by 2 actual dimension boards and, uh, probably 14-inch piers that are round. And that's it. A lot of galvanized bolts, some stainless. It's the railings down there. If you look on some of the wharfs, anything out there is just going to be a frost puck. Very simple, weathered wood. And while I understand we want this to be a very nice presentation to people who are arriving to Nantucket from the water, at the same time, I think it needs to better bridge that simplistic visual approach. So that's why I mentioned the details I mentioned. I think, having said a lot of that, much of this is going to gray out if it's not painted white. But I think if the lattice is planted out, I think the planters probably aren't going to make a big deal. I think probably the biggest thing you're going to notice is that sleigh bed, those mirror tandem sleigh bed shingle walls, and I almost would suggest get rid of the mid-span posts, railing height posts on the covered porch, and at the very least have the rail cap them. But I think you don't need those for the span, unless this is gonna be party central and people are gonna be leaning against those. Then it's a maintenance upkeep issue to make sure they don't go flying. Can we go to the next elevation up? I think, I'm sorry, one down, one. The one with the ramp. That was the original with the ramp. You go back up. That was the original. Okay, so yes, go back to where. Just making sure, go down to the other long side. There you go. This one. I'd repeat this exact same comments here, in terms of the patterns. That lattice is going to be planted out.
Yeah, and that's that white panel that you're seeing below the lattice work. It was a planter box,
Yeah,
which can be removed and plantings just be in
natural
brown.
weather, but the only reason I ask is because we're in obviously a flood zone. What are the plant materials you guys are proposing for that? Because I think part of the success of that lattice application, given the field it creates, the difference in sense of a texture visually, is that it's planted. So is that long-term going to be successful, or is there room between the street, maybe not on a direct elevation level, but on an angle as you're driving by, for some plant materials to shield the lower portion of this structure that are going to be resistant to coastal flooding and saltwater?
Yep.
Because that might be a more successful approach than trying to disguise the panels on the building with perennials or other plant material that are going to be very sensitive, not survive. It's going to look like the Stop and Shop, doesn't get irrigation. You see more of the building than I think was originally planned. And at the very least, the architecture is downgraded because the plants are a shabby cloak, if you will. So just something for you guys to please consider.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Stephen. So I think a lot of good points were brought up here. I would dare say all of which I would agree with. I'm happy that you did this because Stephen is correct that there are inconsistencies. Like I look at your posts going up the stairs on this, which are ornate, they're sort of tricked out. And the ones on here appear to be just 4x4 posts with a little cap on them. I think, to Stephen's point about, simplicity on the harbor front, it's fine. Like getting rid of some of the bells and whistles on here, I think would be terrific. But I also think that the board would benefit from seeing all four sides of your building rendered like this.
Okay.
Assuming that it's all consistent with the architectural
right.
drawings. So one thing that I know, the fact that the vent right now is painted all white above the town sign, you know, maybe you need a vent there, but maybe the vent is like natural to weather and set further up into the gable end, so it
Right.
disappears as opposed to being made a feature of. So, ditto on the stringer, and I don't, you know, I don't want to get too deeply into the weeds here, but like right now, the stringer is not white and it's not natural to weather. It's sort of an in-between kind of gray color. Whereas it should be, if all the rest of the stair components are white, it should be white. So if we have colored renderings of all four elevations, I think it's really gonna help us grasp, you know, the visual impact of this building, which we can all agree is an important building in an important location. So those are my comments. I think we're gonna be looking for some revisions, right, folks?
Yes, and I have one more question. if
Yes,
I may, Mr.
please.
Chair. The gable over the sign, the gable vent,
Hmm.
is that a mechanical vent? That's not passive air, correct?
So it's an intake.
Intake, okay. It seemed much larger than it needed to be if it was passive for that tiny little gable. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
really.
you.
Okay, can I have a motion?
Hold for revisions.
Okay, there's Stephen's motion for revision. We're all at the
And
table.
illustrations of all four sides.
Okay.
Yeah, great. There's Stephen's motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, there you go, folks. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks. Sophie, your turn. Sophie, your board, myself, Angus, Abby, Carrie.
Can Joe take my place while I go check on?
Yeah. Joe, are you okay with that? I'm sure you are.
I didn't hear, but I'm sure I'm okay with it.
Can you, Abby, I think wants to take care of, she needs to close up her shutters for the incoming storm.
Sure, no problem.
So can you sit? Yeah. So let's try that again. Myself, Angus, Carrie, Connie, and Joe. Okay? All right.
So I'm
Sophie,
sorry, I've never screen shared before, but can you just tell?
Don't ask.
I do.
me. Uh,
Sorry. Now this is your up there. So we're fine. Great. Okay. Hi. So just to orient you guys again, 10 New Lane is on the locus on the left there. It's one of the really big lots that's on New Lane. And so for context, last time you guys had felt that a gable forward house wasn't fully appropriate, but I think Carrie had remembered there are actually a ton of pretty substantial gable forwards on New Lane. So I made this icon to show you guys the photos on the right there. Of all of them are essentially lot line to lot line and bigger in footprint than what we're proposing. The turn as you come up Main Street, and if you're taking New Lane going right, the house that you see, the immediate neighbor of my client's house, is the top right photo in this diagram, and that is fully exposed and will be, if you guys approve what we're doing, which is that their house be set 60 feet back from the road. So that's really the house that you notice. What we're proposing sits back quite far. The two big notes that you guys had, you had felt like the front, I'm just going to show you the site plan quickly here. So like I said, we're proposing that the main house sit even further back than the existing house, 60 feet. So you will see that neighboring house as you do in the photo to the right there. So going to the front elevation, you guys had felt like there were too many masses, like it was a little bit too wide. So I removed, at the core of the house, I removed that sort of extended mass on the left there to eliminate that, to make the house narrower. And then Angus and Abby had really felt that the rafter tail detailing, was sort of inappropriate, the cottage corners. So I changed the detailing to be more similar to the gabled forward houses in the neighborhood. So we now have no rafter tails, corner boards, gutters, just sort of tightened up the styling of the outside in response to what you guys said. And then also, you had sort of mentioned that there weren't a ton of shutters on the street. There are actually quite a few houses that have shutters. My clients love sort of the flat panel look, but we noticed that the shutters on the street are primarily louvered. So if that's something that you guys felt was really important, they would be happy to have louvered shutters. And that's it.
Sophie, thank you. Questions for Sophie?
This is Joe. I have one question.
Go ahead.
I just want to understand, it would have been helpful if the footprint of the existing house was shown on your site plan, but it sounds like the forward gable that you're proposing is at least as far back as the existing house, or is it further back than the existing house?
It's 5.5 feet further back from the road than the existing house seen on the look.
Okay. And the photograph on the bottom left of your cover page is the existing house, right? I think, yeah, the cover
Yes.
page.
Yes. Sorry. On the cover page. Yes.
Right there. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. If there are no more questions, comments.
Well, I'm happy to go if there's
go ahead.
pause.
Yeah.
I appreciate that you're keeping this vista into the property and keeping the parking out front. I guess you're privatizing yourself in the back, and I think the public benefits from that move. And I think you're right in the terms of context. You can just see it in the locus plan. Adjacent lots are narrower, and the structures really don't have a lot of breathing space between them. And this one, feels like it's got ample room. And I think you've improved that by making the building slightly narrower. And I think the impact of the width is probably mitigated by its distance from the street too. So I don't have any concerns. Thanks. And as far as shutters go, I think a mixture of shutters and not having shutters is fine. I think the property itself isn't going to read as formal because of the distance from the street. It has a little bit of an in-town rural feel to it. It's I think that the shutters could work. And I think a simple shutter is fine. Thank you.
Okay. Joe, thank you. Who's next?
Can you scroll up to the front elevation? Thanks. I can go.
Yeah, that's Carrie.
Go
ahead.
I think this is a good house. I do think that I was hoping that it would reduce in width a little bit because, while all the other houses are sort of telescoping back, this one is so obviously wide and wider than what was there. I do appreciate that it is set back. I think it's a good house. I think if it were not a gable forward, the roof walk would work better for me at least. Because I think the roof walk on a gable forward is a little much. And it does seem that the fact that this gable forward, it is a full 2 stories on that main mass, and the rest of them are less with lower plates. So I would have loved to see that. I think that's all I've got to say. I think this elevation truly is the one that we're going to see at all. And if you do leave some planting, there is a tree in the front yard. If there is, if that stayed, it would help a lot to mitigate sort of the the massive sort of quality of this versus the existing. Thanks, that's it.
Thanks, Carrie. We got Connie and Angus left.
I can go.
Angus.
So yeah, my concern was the width. And I'm not sure exactly where the reduction happened.
So if
Did that there was that one bump to the left when you're looking at the east elevation. There were two bumps and now it's one bump, it looks like. And did that just pull in the south side, or did the house just get centered?
Oh, no, it pulled it in. So if you guys look like if you look at the original, there were 4 windows to left of the front door and now there are 3 to the left because I eliminated that chunk of the house. Like we took out a room to tighten it up. So the top drawing is with the original application.
Right.
And so those 2 windows and that mass is no longer.
But as far as the mass in relation to the property line, did
Oh, so it pulled in 5 feet 6 inches.
from the south line?
Correct.
Okay. But the north side stayed the same in relation to the north property line?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, no, sorry. Jason, no, we made it 5.5 feet smaller and then recentered it. So
Oh,
2.5 feet to the, yes.
So it's interesting that Joe brought up the vista about this around the house, because it really does seem like a wall. And before there was the driveway going back to the garage at the back of the house, which sort of increased the vista and diminished sort of the imposing facade on the street. And so like looking at the existing house photo, to imagine, this house being 5 feet further back, that's great. But then imagine a whole nother structure being forward of this up on the street. That was one of the concerns that I had, was that future shed. That is something that should be behind the house, not in front. And so, but also that closes off that corridor to the left side of the house. If it were in the back, and the house were more telescoping, there would be more of a vista to either side, or at least one side. Thank you for pointing out the other lots on the street that the house sort of goes side to side, but they are, as you pointed out, much smaller lots and smaller houses. Whereas this is still feeling like it's covering, the whole width, and not really taking as much advantage to the depth of the lot as is possible. For me, the facade is still very, very wide. The right side is not as is further set back than the left side, but it still feels like there's a lot going on there compared to the simplicity of the other structures. Thank you for pointing out the gable forward examples on the street. But again, they read much simpler, and there aren't these bump outs except when they're much further back. And there might be one exception, but it's for the most part, that doesn't really happen. I agree with Carrie's comments about the gable forward and the roof walk. And for some reason, maybe it's the roof pitch, but the roof walk seems like the legs are really long on that. So if the roof walk were to stay, I would want that to get narrowed down so it'd be no more than 8 feet wide, sort of east-west. But like as far as overall like the fenestration, and the shutters and all of that, that doesn't matter to me as much as the massing and the siding of this and the other structure that is a future proposal. Still feel like that needs to go behind, and there needs to be some sort of opening or pass towards the back or side of the house than to approve this and then like, oh, well, now we can't get back to a building in the back. And I liked Carrie's idea of keeping the tree up front. That's all. Thanks.
Okay, Angus, thank you. Does that leave me?
You still have Connie.
Oh, Connie, I'm so sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
So I appreciate the changes. I do agree about the roof walk if somehow those legs can be shortened. The current garage is probably gonna go away.
You guys, not through me, but you approved demo of that existing
Okay.
garage. And oh,
So, yeah, I'm just gonna look at the house structure. I agree it's wide for that lot, but architecturally, I think it's appropriate. I think if you turned it and went farther into the lot to telescope, I think then you're gonna lose probably the pool and the guest house in the backs because you wouldn't have the room back there. But just for future thought, I do think the shed should be maybe located somewhere in the back if possible. Thank you.
Connie, thank you. So first off, I agree with several people who have commented on the roof walk. It's also, even if, like, let's pretend this for a moment, that this was just a straight up gable without an intersecting gable, which I'm about to talk about. It would want to be a third of the overall roof plane, which it's far in excess of right now. Sophie, this is an odd thing, but I was actually disappointed that you got rid of the L piece that's coming off to the left and just have this sort of like gable that's extruded out at a 90-degree angle from the other gable underneath the roof walk. The best way I can think to explain it is like Victorian houses sometimes have these intersecting gables. Like I'm thinking about the Victorian at the corner of Cabot Lane and Cliff Road. It's an L-shaped Victorian house. Both of the gables are the same side. One faces west, one faces north. And that was part of the style. What you have here is a gable of one size, we'll call it the main gable, and then you basically like extruded out the gable of the same width and height and eave for, let's just say, 3 feet towards the road. Now, is that something that's like brand new and like has never been approved before? The answer is no, but like when I look at the north elevation, I see these two windows, one on the second floor, one on the first floor, that's like right smack where a corner board kind of sort of should be, but is not. And the precedent photo that you took of 7A New Lane, there's two gables that are almost L-shaped, but there's a little bit of a rebate. You get a corner board, all that. But I'm telling you all this knowing that like this is certainly not the only house that does that. So I'm just, I guess it's a very long way of saying like I preferred the L-shaped thing as opposed to, I don't know, what shape. This is like an I shape. I guess the roof walk is my main concern, and I do appreciate the changes that you made in terms of simplifying the trim detail. That's it for me, folks. What are we gonna do?
I'd make a motion to hold for revisions.
It doesn't sound like you got a lot of revisions to do, right?
well, but it seemed like can I just ask a question? Because it seems like you guys are entirely split. Just to speak to the vegetation, the idea, the reason why the clients wanted it back this far was to create it really, really private and a lot of vegetation to hide it from the street. That's why they're wanting it. And just like everyone else on the street, they're wanting the cars kind of like at the street because New Lane's super busy. It's not like you hang out in your yard. So the whole purpose of buying this lot was to kind of, create some privacy behind it versus having a driveway leading back to a garage. And, for height reference, the existing house plus their tall garage. Oh, the garage, like the overall visual that you guys are seeing from that photograph from the road, when you look at it now, there's the main house and that big garage that they have in the back, which is like a 2-car garage that you're seeing from the road as a collective, which we're replacing with, something smaller, like a porch and a single-story mass. So I'm just not like following you guys. Like their existing program actually runs lot line to lot line, when you include both these buildings that you fully see. Our goal is to hide this stuff and to not have a lot of paving. So, I mean, are you guys just telling me that it just, what you want is like a colonial, like a non-gable forward, or like you just seem evenly split? So
I didn't say that.
Oh, can I say something about the
Yeah.
gable forward
Carrie.
thing?
Yeah.
It seems to me that a gable forward is really great when you don't have a full plate height. And then with the full plate height, the eave forward makes sense. But every picture you've shown us is a gable forward, but that's not a full 2-story building. So you're sort of maximizing the mass of this by doing a gable forward and the eave coming down. So it just seems to me that you could maybe look at an eave forward and it would quiet the whole thing down, and then your roof walk would work so much better. And maybe you even go back to having a 4-bay and not the 3-bay. But I think for me, the gable forward is competing with all the other gable forwards and being like, I'm bigger than you are, and I've got more windows, and I've got this and that. So I just feel like it could just be quieter and same scale. I mean, yeah, you're pretty much a full 2-story building. So I would love to see an
Okay.
eve forward.
It's
And then-
actually an interesting point. I'm looking at all the precedents and they're all a story and a half.
That's sort of the beauty of a gable forward.
Could I add something?
So,
Yeah, Carrie, thank you, Angus.
So, I mean, I think Carrie makes a good point about the scale of the gable forward. I'm indifferent. It could be a lower eave in the gable forward, or the full 2-story in the eave forward. But for me, I think this would have less impact if it moved forward and more sort of a telescope behind it rather than the width. And I thought we kind of conveyed that the first round through. And your point about the garage being, taller and bigger, it's so far away and behind the house that it doesn't make that much of an impression. But I mean, I'd have to travel the street again, but I'd be hard pressed to think about any sort of outbuildings that are forward of the houses on New Street. And I'm not an advocate for more parking and driveway, but like less driveway in front of the house and more alongside the house and behind the house. And the garage doesn't have to be in the backyard. It could be, at the back of the house rather than up at the setback line in front of the house. That's all.
Okay. Any other comments? Because I do want to just, I'm going to try and provide you with hopefully a little more clarity. Because I didn't speak at all about the width of the house. Given the fact that it's set back, I personally am okay with the width of the house, and it's the fact that it steps down. But I was trying to get my arms around why and I also don't mind the gable forward, but rendered in somewhat of a different way. I guess that's the best way I can say it. Are we going to hold this for revisions, folks? Or are there any other comments that would help Sophie? Okay.
Move to hold for revisions.
Okay.
you.
Thanks, Angus. So on Angus's motion, Connie,
I,
Carrie,
Aye.
Joe,
Excuse me, aye.
Angus on your motion.
Aye.
And I'm in favor. Thank you. Okay, the next one is to you, Angus.
Evergreen, 1 Evergreen Way. Do we have representation?
Yes, you do. You never see me, Angus.
I'm so busy looking at the screen. Welcome. Speaking
I'm
of
not your type.
representation, did we ever get
No.
the Blewett Court? No? Okay.
Oh, right.
Okay, so it looks like we've got everyone except for Val. And so Connie can take her place. So the board will be myself, Abby, Carrie, Joe, and Connie. Please go ahead whenever you're.
All right, so based on the comments from the commission, the previous hearing, we revised the proposed to replace the solid fencing with a split rail, wire, and vegetation. I think this approach is consistent with the commission's preferences, and it provides our client with the privacy they need and creates a more open landscape and neighborly edge.
Short and sweet. Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Or is there anyone to speak on this? There's still a few people. Any questions? No questions? All right, commissioners, what are your comments?
I'll go.
Thanks, Gary. Go ahead.
I appreciate the change, Elizabeth. I think it'll be way more welcoming. The one little thing that I would love is to see on the front corner of the property, it just cut back to that first parking spot. So it's just just sort of an open, garden without the fence right up to the street. I don't mind it along the length of the parking. I think it's a little bit offset from or no, it's not even on that street side, is it?
We had split rail approved on the main road.
Okay. But it's just that one little corner, so it doesn't come straight up to the edge of the street, but it just sets back to that first parking spot. Otherwise, it's great. Thank you.
Just to clarify, thank you for that, Carrie. Are you saying to the right of the entrance?
Yeah, just that little corner up until that first parking spot. Maybe just
Yep.
a little, it could go a little bit beyond that or some, a little bit beyond it, but the plantings in that corner would be sufficient.
Thank you. Who'd like to go next?
I could do go and do a question at the same time.
Okay.
I just wanted to know if there was any trees or vegetation on the other side of the fence along the road.
We're planting vegetation right with the split rail, and there are some trees currently on the car rental company side.
It looks like all the trees are inside the fence, so I'm just hoping, to soften all of that fencing.
Abby, it's split rail. I don't even think you need an application for split rail. Yeah, there's solid board all over this island, and you said, no, I'm coming back with split rail. It should be like an easy yes.
I'm just saying that it's going to be very hardscape, so it just. That's all.
Thanks, Abby. Joe or?
Yeah, I could go. Excuse me. Well, I appreciate the removal of the solid board fence. And I know there was a lot of debate last time about where that should stop and how it should be softened. So I think that's been done. I do think that split rail right on the property line along the street might feel slightly foreign, but I know there will be, it looks like there'll be trees. It's hard to read on the street side of the split rail. Am I reading that correctly?
So Joe, just to be clear, the split rail along the road was already approved. It's not part of this application. We're looking
Okay.
at the side property line, the back and the left.
Okay, so that split rail goes up to the left side of the driveway. And I'm asking that question because I like Carrie's suggestion about stopping the split rail on the right-hand side at that parking space. But if you already have that along the road approved up to the drive, then I don't mind it extending along and kind of completing that visually.
So what is proposed on the right side of the drive is already
So
been approved for the left side of the drive?
on the bottom of the drawing that was already approved, I'll split rail on the bottom. So what we were applying for was the right side.
Okay.
Okay.
Does
Well,
that
I
help,
think
Joe?
it's a huge improvement from what we looked at before with the solid board fence, so I'm okay with the revisions.
And Connie, would you like to go?
Sure. We're just looking at what she's got bubbled in blue, right?
Mm-hmm.
For split rail, and I'm okay with it. Thank you. Thank you.
And this is matching the split rail that's already approved on the front with 3 rails as opposed to 2?
That's correct.
Okay. So, I mean, it's something that's already been approved, so I don't have an issue with continuing with it. There's only, one section left on the street side, and the rest just goes around. Commissioners, do we have a motion?
I'll motion to approve it as submitted. I will forego that little bit as Joe's point.
Thank you, Carrie. On your motion,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Connie,
Aye.
Abby,
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Back over to you, Ray.
Yep, to me, 4C Street, Matthew. The board, me, Angus, Abby, Carrie, Connie. Hi, Matt.
Hello, how are you? Hi, Sharon. Yeah, am I? I think you have to join as a board member
I
or
haven't been signing anything. So that's-
chair.
Just sign away.
No. Let's see.
Not that one, but the
That
other one.
evergreen?
Yes.
Yours. So there's that. Tucker Nook. Wrong one.
I feel it coming. Do you guys feel it?
Yeah,
Lightning rounds.
I feel it.
Oh, Stephen, there's no need for that. We still have 2
Hour.
hours left.
More
We need
lightning.
to make the work fill the time
Yeah.
available.
Not a good.
These next 2 are gonna go so fast.
Stephen's stomach starts growling around 6:15. We're
Good.
used to it. Matthew, sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'll try and keep my comments brief. So this is 4C Street. You've seen this twice before. Previous iterations, we got rid of the secondary gable. The last round, you asked us to lower the plate so that the meeting rails aligned. So we dropped both the primary and the secondary mast, so everything aligns right at the meeting rail. The bay, when we looked at it, you didn't ask for this, but we added 3rd window. It just felt like it kind of filled out that first floor bay more successfully. The brackets, we previously had what I would consider almost the kind of rural or farmhouse style brackets that were at like a 30 or 45-degree angle. And we switched those out with a different variation, which I think Abby, you had suggested something a little bit more aligned with the rest of the architectural details. So it's a very simple, subtle curved bracket, but I thought it was a great suggestion. Bless you. I think those were all the changes, and we tried to cloud the changes with a lighter rev cloud compared to a heavier rev cloud, just to indicate what was the more recent changes. But with that, look forward to comments from the board, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Do I need to reiterate the board myself? And no, okay. Abby, you go.
Okay,
It's
no,
your
I,
turn.
I appreciate the changes. Nothing to add.
Okay, that's good. Who's next?
I can go.
Angus.
I feel like I'm missing something. I'm trying to line the eaves up with the middles of the windows on the second floor, and they just are looking high. Is that just me?
On the front?
Yeah. Well, but also it wraps around, to what would be the east side, right?
Okay.
Okay.
This Angus is something that's like never been discussed in all the years we've been talking about this. If you have an eave overhang and you're looking at it in elevation, where do you take it from? Do you take it from where the eave intersects the doormat? Or do you take it from the bottom of the eave? And my opinion has always been the bottom of the eve.
Yeah. I don't, yeah, usually it's kind of like the roof line or something. But it looks above, but I mean, overall, everything else is looking great. And I think that was a good addition of the third window in the bay. Yeah. The only thing I would do is just like have where the roof, where either center the gutter with the window mullion, I mean the meeting rail or the roof, but it looks like the bottom of the soffit is above the meeting rails. I guess I'm just not noticing the sort of the lowering of that eave. That's all. Thanks.
Okay. I mean, in point of fact, the gutter is slightly higher than the meeting rail. Slightly. But there it is. Okay, Angus, thank you. Connie, yes.
Matthew, I appreciate the changes and I feel this is appropriate. Thank you.
Great. Carrie, I think you're still out there, right?
Yep. I appreciate the changes. I actually think the bay, I preferred it with the two because it just seems simpler and lighter. The three, maybe it's just the color of the windows seem heavy, but I'm fine with this. Thanks.
Okay. Carrie, thanks. So the only thing, Matt, that I question at all, but I'm not going to prevent this from you walking out with an approval on this. I always find it curious that you have to, not you personally, but one has to like emphasize where the door is under a porch. Because we got a porch that's on the bottom, like the railing is continuous straight across, like it's all in the same plane. But then the roof just sort of pops out a little bit over the front door. And I understand that, like, yes, you can do that, but then I just wonder why. But I
could offer to omit it
you
because
know,
we've done that a bunch of times.
no
in the
one else
past.
brought it up.
Oh,
No,
I'm with you.
No, I didn't even see it.
Yeah, it's very subtle, and I think that by omitting that feature, I don't think it takes away from the composition of the building. So we're happy to do that.
Oh, thanks.
Simpler.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I prefer it without as well. If I had noticed it,
Oh,
but I think in real
okay.
life you will.
Yeah, it's a simple porch, and I think that people will still be able to find their way to the front door.
I think they
I think
will.
So,
I think so.
Maybe.
Well, gosh, can I have a motion on this?
Motion to approve as submitted, with the exception of the bump out in front of the front door with the porch, that the porch roof will just be continuous across the face.
That sounds great. Okay, we're gonna do roll call here. So on your motion, Angus,
Aye.
Abby,
Aye.
Carrie,
Aye.
Connie,
Aye.
and I'm in favor. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you very much.
Does that need an exhibit A, or we could, we? could, like-
No,
No, we can just like draw.
but we can just
what-
write, I'll
write
read
it
it
in the
right
thing.
now.
Okay, so the next one is to you, Angus. That's 21 India, right?
Okay. So again, it'll be myself, Abby, Carrie, and Connie, and then we'll employ Joe. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So you've seen this once before. It's a garage with a apartment above it. And so a majority of the comments were about simplifying the structure. So the revisions we made were to change all the second floor windows to 6/6. The first floor windows are 9/9s, which they are, this glass size and dimension is found on the main house. And so we thought that the slightly larger windows on the first floor and the smaller 6/6 on the second floor was more successful based on the board's suggestion. We changed the front, the garage or carriage doors to a really simple door. We removed the glass. We also removed the door that was on the north elevation that was on the street side. We shifted that around to the side of the building, which I believe is on the west elevation. We've also omitted the pent roof, switching over to the west elevation in particular. We omitted the pent roof on the sides. We changed the door styles to something much more simpler, just a vertical V-groove door. And we looked at omitting the pent roof on the facade of the building. And without it, it just looked completely, it just looked naked. It just looked strange. So I know that was something that the board had mentioned, but we did try it and it just, I didn't think it was successful. But beyond that, I think that's all the changes. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. We added the corner boards, which we didn't have previously. And then I did add that gable ridge beam. I don't know if that's too cheeky, but it's very subtle detail. So those are the revisions. Look forward to your comments, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Any questions?
Yeah, what color are the garage doors and the shutters? What?
The shutters are a Essex green.
Oh.
And the garage door, right now, I think it's white, but we're open to any suggestions you feel are appropriate.
Okay, I'll make a suggestion late when it's my turn. Thanks.
Any other questions? Holly, do you have any comments on this?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciated the simplification. My only concern was the size of the windows in the flush dormers and the size of the flush dormers with the meeting rails. They don't seem to line up, and too much single space at the sides and the header. That was my only concern, but other than that, thank you.
Thanks, Holly. Commissioners, who would like to go first?
I'll go.
Thanks, Carrie. Go ahead.
I had the same thought as Holly, and I wonder if the roof pitch can get a little bit steeper, but leave the ridge where it is. So you take care of that issue with the dormers and the meeting rails, and then your plate comes down a little bit. So the gable forward is a little bit, I don't know, more proportionate. I think the change of the door from the garage from the front, the pedestrian door from the front, it made all the difference in the world. And now I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, from the front as a garage, I think the big, whatever that is, 9/9 window, maybe it should be something completely different. So it just reads as a little bit of light for the garage. So so it doesn't look like habitable space. I think, a funky little window there would be appropriate, rather than this big one. But other than that, I appreciate the changes, Matt. Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie. Who would like to go next?
I agree with everything that Carrie said, literally. All great suggestions.
Thanks, Joe. Connie or Abby?
I can go, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Con.
I have really nothing to add, but I do have a question. So on the west elevation, now there's 2 doors?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, only because the
You
door that was
moved-
previously on the north facade went around the corner.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with what's been previously said also. Thank you.
At least you have it.
So, yeah, I think the Essex screen is appropriate. So I would go with that for the doors and for the garage doors and the shutters.
Okay,
Could I add one thing, Mr. Chair?
please go ahead, Matt.
So I was just gonna say, I think Carrie's suggestions are spot on, and we can totally drop that plate, maintaining the ridge height. And I also think that A-type window that's on the north elevation could become like the C-type, which is basically just a 9 light. I just wanted to offer that those are all, we're happy to do those.
Yeah, I like those.
You read my mind. I was going to suggest just that simple 9 light. Okay, so I agree with what's been said. I think there's a certain amount of height here that could probably be diminished if this turned into a clipped gable, but that's just me. So would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion. Am I on? Yes. Motion to approve the A window on the north elevation as a simple 9 light and the ridge to stay as is, but the roof pitch to change, to drop the plate, maybe to a 10, maybe a 10 would work. Maybe, yeah, I think a 10 would work, just to drop it, just that bit. How about that?
And that's to line up the eave with the
Yes, with the meeting rails.
the meeting rails.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, and the Essex green on the doors as well as the windows or shutters?
Gotcha. On your motion,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Connie,
Aye.
Abby,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well.
Abby,
Thank
can you
you.
write that down or
Yeah.
do the,
Did
Thank you.
meant to change the pitch to a 10/12?
yep,
10/12? Okay, I got
and
it.
the big window on the north to a 9
Yeah.
Which is a C window.
and the Essex green. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks, Matt.
See you, Matt. Okay, Sana.
Hi. Before I talk about the changes, Lubin and Naz are the 2 owners of the property
Okay.
that are going to live in the duplex. So Lubin just wanted to say something.
Okay. Let me get your board, and it's going to be the same board on both, okay?
Yep.
Myself, Angus, Abby, Stephen, you don't have Val.
That's fine.
So, well, but you have 3 alternates, so I'll just choose Joe for the for both. So there's your board. Oh, and I'm also going to say, it's super helpful for the board to, oh, you have bubbled. No, you haven't bubbled the changes. So I'm looking all through this package and I'm not seeing bubbled changes at all, but so that the board is like really aware of what you're changing. A bubble and a little description of what's changed is super helpful for us. Anyway, the first thing we're going to review, right, is the cottage.
Yes.
Okay. So go ahead. You have like a general statement, or are you going to tell us about it?
Have a quick statement.
Yeah, I just wanted to introduce myself and the other owner, and my name is Luban and this is Nas. We've been here since 2009. And we are trying to grow our families and our business here. And we, as a business owners and residents, we have big expenses, paying rent for office space and storage, not to mention the house we live. And the lot we bought into the commercial residential zone, we bought it with a reason so we can have the ground coverage that can meet the needs of our families and our businesses. And this is the main reason for us to try to build what we aim for. And as a general contractor, I understand how important it is to keep the landscape that's typical for Nantucket, and I would be happy to get all your considerations when we do the design for the house, and I'll let Sona take from here. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Sona.
All right, so the cottage, we shrunk it by 3 feet on the length and the width, as requested, though you wanted the cottage to be a smaller square footage. We added the height, if you go to the plan one up from that. Sorry. Sheet A11. It should be up at the top. Yes, right there. So you can see on the site plan, we've made the parking enlarged for code. We've added the hydrangea bed in front of the house to screen the house as well. And again, the house is 3 feet less wide and 3 feet less length. On the elevations, if you can just move to the A2 one. The overall height of the house has been lowered by 9 inches, and that is a result of the house getting smaller square footage. We added a small roof over the front door for just a little aesthetic. On the west elevation, removed a window, and on the south elevation, we added a trellis to kind of break up the big open space of the shingles.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any questions for Sona?
Oh, I had one question. I didn't see the old business checklist is the minutes from the previous meeting, and I didn't see those included. Am I missing that?
I don't think you missed.
Oh, that's so pre-COVID.
Well, so yeah, I think we, sauna with the bubbling, these are the sort of things that, like, after we haven't seen something for however many weeks or months it's been, it helps us sort of pick up the thread of the narrative and to continue our discussion. Is there any other question, Angus?
No, thanks.
Okay. All right. Any questions from anyone? If not, I'd love to get some comments. Thanks.
My only, Mike, I could go.
Yeah, go ahead, Abby.
My only comment is that the windows in the dormer seem to sit right on that, on the gutter or the eave or the fascia. And it's only 22 feet high, right? Yeah, so you could, I mean, what was it before? Did we ask you?
It was 23 feet and now it's 22.3.
Okay, I really don't care if it's 22 or 23, if you wanted to do 23, if that could bring the dormer back a little so that it didn't have that, so it didn't look like a flush dormer.
Okay.
So
That's my only comment. Thank you.
I'll go, Mr. Chair.
Stephen.
Okay, so Sana, there's a little bit of a incongruency in the drawing. So your, first of all, I appreciate the previous elevations are there. So for me, I don't really need to see the bubbles because I can see what was there prior. Wouldn't hurt to have, you know, a little bit of bubbling where you've shaved off each side of the building, but if this were a more complex structure and you couldn't have the elevations on the same sheet, I would feel differently. And then I would want to go back to our kind of conventional approach. But in any event, for me, I just want to point out there's incongruity in the drawings on the new north and the new west elevation. Your shed dormer termination points don't align. I have a feeling that the west elevation side view is correct and the north elevation
Yeah, I see what you mean.
is incorrect. It's a drafting thing,
Yeah.
something in the world. I wouldn't be, I think that this follows the same as the, concern I have with the Cartwright place. It's got a big hat, except for, I wish it were heavy on the top because it would be in keeping with the Cartwrights. Holly, that was before your time.
I got it.
The big
I
hat.
got it.
But, no, the TV show. The first floor, I think, could come down. You could lose a foot there easily. What have you got in ceiling heights in there?
We
10 foot?
have 8'6" on that.
No,
And
something's.
Is it a modular?
no, he's gonna stick build it.
Okay.
I think your ceiling heights are, this looks higher than 8 feet to me. I have a, what's
We
the
have the
depth?
windows, and so the ceiling height on the first floor is 8'6", and we have the windows up higher because the triple door that's in the back, that was one that they were able to get, and so we're matching the height of that, and that's at 8 feet, right? Yeah. So they got it on a discount from one of the stores here.
Okay, so if there's no room to come down, I think the pent roof is beneficial. I don't mind the lattice. I don't mind the imbalance of the fenestration, and it's not everything is perfect. There's several of these on, or a couple at least on West York where fenestration isn't. It's not a 4-bay federal. I appreciate the left to right width being lessened. I want to go back to the site plan. I'm going to have more concerns about the duplex. Generally, I think that we do, well, I understand this is a starter. I think we need to take a look at some plant material. I'll just broadcast for the duplex along the property line. Maybe some columnar, real thin horn beam or something. And then a couple of street trees at the front of this structure. Just so it's not, just to soften the presentation.
Okay.
Well, I think with the dorm, what's the distance this is from the house or from the road, 20 feet?
Yeah, 20 feet to the hydrangea bed,
Yeah.
and then another 3.5 to the house.
On the hydrangea bed, let me just. Yeah, just something to anchor left and right. Parking are these 20-foot deep?
Yep.
I think, you know, you guys would benefit long-term from losing a little bit of yard space at the back of the duplex and maybe even shortening up the space between these by at least a foot or two to get it away from the street. You're gonna regret that, just saying. For me, the trees are a softening aspect, so I'm not gonna hold it to it.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Stephen, thank you. Who's next?
I actually had a question
Hmm.
about the street trees. Where would they go?
Yeah,
To me?
right.
Yes.
Well, if they were to plant some, they could do like a skyline locust or something that's soft, feathery. You basically just want to prune it away from the house, but there's nothing to suggest that it would be lopsided and problems or anything like that. They could go at the head of the drive. I think another foot of space would be beneficial. Or they could be columnar pairs or something.
Thanks for that. I think that the softening with this proximity to the street is going to be good for everybody.
Yeah, we would have loved to have a driveway and have it back, but the lot's only 43 feet wide, so it doesn't really give us
Got it.
an
Yeah.
option.
Yeah. So I mean, ideally the windows on the first floor would be a little bit bigger, like one size up. The on the that north, I think the main elevation that's going to be visible is the north, and I would consolidate the head casing into the soffit to bring that eave down a little bit. And
On the dormer?
on the dormer.
Okay.
And just correct where the termination of the dormer is, as has been mentioned, and stepping the dormer back a foot. With whoever said it before, I'm okay with it getting a foot taller if it had to. The ridge, in order to just step that dormer back at least a foot from the face. Other than that, I'm fine. Thanks.
Yeah, we're happy with everything that the board has mentioned so far.
Well, let's see where we are. So that was Angus, Stephen spoken, Connie.
Oh, I thought you said I was sitting on this.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, my notes are gooey. Joe, yeah, go ahead.
Unless Connie wants to go. Well, I agree with all the comments that have been made, and I'm gonna just quickly go down them. The taller windows on the first floor, I think especially on the street facing north elevation, I think that's important. Feels a little bit like a back right now, and I think having some hierarchy would be good. It's unclear to me, this is regarding the front door. I think you could amp up the trim around the front door a little bit. Hard to tell whether or not that's wood on the bottom and glass, or if it's an all wood door. I'm assuming it reads like an all wood door since it doesn't have a muntin in it.
Yes.
The pent roof, I like the idea of it. I think we need to see it from the side so that we can see the bracket and so forth and how that manifests, but I think it's a helpful element. Definitely agree with a steeper pitch, and this thing, I mean, frankly, if it was under 24 feet, it's a simple cape. And if that allows you to push, I think it's important that both these dormers get pushed. I guess the north side more important than the south side, but I think they really should both come in 12 inches. And I think that would be helpful and make this feel, less like the back of a house. One thing that I think you should look at, and this I guess goes back to the height of this, the way this is drawn, the door sill on both the north elevation and the south elevation happens right at the top of the concrete. So that implies that this is a mud sill, that the floor framing is pushed down into the foundation. If that's not the case, then all of the fenestration on the first floor is going to come up the thickness of whatever your floor level is. So I think it's important, to look at a cross section of this in order to fine tune the accuracy of the elevations. And because it does affect things aesthetically. My guess is that everything's going to actually, the header heights of all the first floor fenestration is going to go up, whatever the floor thickness is, unless you're planning on a mud sill. But overall, I think it's a simple building. If you pushed it back from the street to gain more vegetation, great. I think that's everything. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Joe, thank you. Abby, did you go?
Yes.
You did,
I
okay.
just wanted the dormers pushed back. and
Yeah,
forgot
I
about
think
that.
that's a unanimous one, but like to Joe's point there, this, like I was thinking this was gonna be a slab, you know, like a garage slab, and you just, you take your height from 4 inches below the slab. So if there actually is framing and it's not a mud sill, that's gonna by default make the building taller than what we've been understood that it is. So all the talk about it going higher.
Yeah, we had talked about a mud sill because of the way going out the triple door in the back onto the yard. We wanted that to be more
Okay,
aligned
well,
with the
all right,
yard.
you know. I
That's
think the
great.
fact that
So,
Joe
sorry.
brought it up,
Yeah.
you know, is good, because I think everyone wants the dormers pushed in, including me, and we're allowing the building to get taller based on its current height. Allow it to get taller to allow that to happen. So as long as you guys are, you know how it's all going to be framed, that the drawings reflect that, you know, then we're good. So it sounds like we want to have some minor revisions on this guy. Should we move that?
So moved.
Okay, that was a dual motion.
Steve can take it.
No, no, really, it was a photo finish, so you're both gonna get it. Angus and Stephen have both moved for revisions. So Angus and Stephen on your motion. Thank you. Abby,
I,
Joe,
Aye.
and I'm in favor. Thank you. So that one's good. Now let's go to the duplex.
Okay, so on the duplex, if you go to sheet A21, the floor plan, you can see that we broke the center of the floor plan to create, excuse me, a 10-foot setback in the middle to create more of illusion of two houses with a connector. And if you go to A31, the next sheet, you can see the change from the west elevation on the top. That ridge line was 51 feet and the whole building was 66 feet long. Now we have a 28-foot, a 10-foot, and then a 28 with the 10-foot in the middle having the roof line dropped so that we don't have that 51 feet of ridge across the top. We have rotated, because of the shape and having to do the setback, we rotated the building that's on the left-hand side. So that creates the gable coming towards, that's what's facing the street, the north elevation. We have added, again, a little roof over the front doors, and we can also definitely add more trim around the doors to beef them up a little bit. On the next sheet, the elevation, we have moved the stairs to, it is the left of the house, but it's the back of the main, the main house. So that's a little more hidden and not in the way of the walkway and everything like that on the front of the house. If you want to go to A11. Yeah. And scroll in on that center. So we were asked to give a better view of what's going on around there. So Forest Street coming in on the left of that is now where Thai House, the new Thai House building is, with the enormous building right on Old South.
Yep.
And then a bunch of new little cottages next to it. That field, right, when you go up Forest and you turn right on Rosebud, that field is filled with boats and containers, and it's just a junk field. When you look at our lot, which is the first, it was 4 that was split. It was one large lot that was split into these 4 narrow lots. To the left of our lot is large, enormous trees that are blocking us from the house to the left. On the right lot, there is a greenhouse that's completely deteriorated and falling apart, and then 2 empty lots. So you can see that in relation to our lots, like we're one of the smaller buildings in the area. So,
Ray, could you point to where she's,
oh, do you want me to?
where'd that go?
Who's,
Oh.
that's you, right?
007.
So see right, you go up Forest and you take a right on Rosebud.
Yeah,
So that's empty lot right there. That's where all the junk is.
okay.
The lot on the left down on Old South, that's where the new Thai house is. And then R is right there. And so that, and then 3 next to it were the ones that was for Rosebud. And now R is for
The
Rosebud.
little lots to
They
the,
go-
just
they
to the
got
right.
Split into 4. And Rosebud is a dead end. So it's, nobody's going down there
Yeah.
it's not a pass through, it's not anything. But there's trees to the left of us. So when you're coming down Rosebud, you don't even see that side of the house. Which is like, I guess, our back side, even though it's not. If that makes sense.
That's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, it would have been nice if it had been split into 3 lots, so then we could have gotten a driveway and we could have done something. But, I mean,
It's in here.
that was just determined by the seller, so.
No, I'm.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
And we're not designing.
Okay, Sona, thank you. Comments, folks?
So I wanted to know, question, I guess it's a question, are there any other 30-foot buildings in that area?
Yeah, I mean, you can see from it, like, we're one of the smaller. So if you just compare to the neighbors. And again, the Thai house, which is not on there because it wasn't on the Google Earth or GIS or anything yet, that is way bigger than ours. And that's on Old South. We're tucked back.
Because I don't know the area,
Yeah.
but 30 feet is something we rarely see, so, but, so I've gone, thank you.
Okay, Abby, thanks. Next.
I could go, I think,
That's
with
Joe.
with some hesitation, because I didn't look at this last time around, but I'll go ahead and say the height was definitely a concern. It was really interesting to see the locus plan. So because the footprint was a concern, but you're definitely packing the lot. But yeah, there are a lot of large footprint buildings around. Also remains to be seen what's going to happen on the other 3 lots that are similar in size to this, but I guess you have the benefit of going first. But I think the height is a concern. This is where I hesitated going first. I actually prefer the massing of the previous submission in a way, because it doesn't read like a duplex. And this, it looks like, you responded to breaking up the ridge lines in a reasonable way, I think, but it reads to me too much like a duplex versus just a large oversized building that happens to disguise a duplex. I like that approach more personally, as long as you don't have a ridge line that's 60 feet long. I do think that graphically the previous iteration reads longer just because of your dimension line. Your dimension line goes right to the ridge, and it makes it read like the ridge is that long. It would also be softened if you had shingles on there and so forth. But I feel like working with the previous massing might have some merit. I don't know what the other board members think, but I think it felt more dynamic than this. Feels a little bit static to me. Granted, it's screened by the cottage, which is only going to get taller. It's going to be viewed obliquely for a little while, and then something's going to happen next door that is going to bury this building. So the fact that the front doors are facing the side and it doesn't really have a clear front, it all becomes less of a concern because I don't think you're going to see it that much. But who knows how long it'll take to have that infill. So I'm just putting that out there. Those are my comments. Thanks.
Thanks, Joe. We got Stephen and Angus. Angus.
I can go. So I agree with Joe about the massing of this, especially when we're talking about the west elevation that conceivably is going to be visible from Forest. If the people on the corner lot decide to just clear all their vegetation, or the beetles get to their trees or something and it's clear and it's just buildings, this will be exposed. And I think the gable with the eave is has a much better presentation than the two eave forwards with the drop in the middle, and them being almost identical. So the only thing that I would change is, if it were to go back to the original massing, is that the eave would be facing south rather than the gable. Just because from the street, I think that is a lot softer.
Well, the north elevation is the one that would be facing the street.
The north elevation
So
facing.
the one on the left there, top left, that's facing the street. That's basically facing the yard between
So-
that and the cottage.
This is facing Forest.
No, so
Isn't the west?
it's facing the cottage that's at the front. So it's facing the yard in between. So the cottage will hide, I don't know, the 2/3 of that. facade. This on the right here, that one is facing the empty lot next to it, which has the,
Forest.
yeah. You know, it just.
No,
like a
has the greenhouse.
forest on the other side,
Yeah.
which is where we put the stairs, because that's now completely hid.
I'm sorry, I thought this was on the north side of the street. Is that not correct? And the south is facing the street?
No, the north is facing the street. The north is facing the cottage.
Yeah.
So this right here is gonna have the cottage in front of it, then there's the land in between, and then that elevation.
Can we go to the site plan? Sorry.
We're
Actually,
looking at the small
okay.
end from the street.
Are you looking at the locust plan and having it oriented north, in which case I can understand why you're
Yeah, so
saying
this
what
is,
you're saying.
so this is Old South, right? And so you go up Forest, you take a right, and then this is on the north side of the street, right? Which means that that elevation, the west elevation, right, is facing the large lot.
Angus is right.
Oh, so okay, so then the east and west,
Angus is totally right.
okay, so the east and
Yeah.
west side, I labeled them.
The back of this lot faces north.
So
Right?
can we go, yeah, so can we
Okay,
go
so
back to the
You would
elevation?
agree with that, right?
Y-
The
yeah.
back of the lot faces north.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if I'm looking towards the back of the lot, that's my north elevation. No, that's my south elevation.
So this is what's facing the big lot, west.
Yeah.
But I would flip flop it so that you have this elevation facing to the south to the other unit.
I think the intent is good, but I think that you need to work on your cardinal points. Okay? And, by the way, we should make sure that the cottage gets done in the same way, the one we just
Yeah,
reviewed.
will do.
Okay. Would it be fair to say that you understand what Angus is
Yes.
trying to get at here?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it actually might be helpful to just put all three buildings in an elevation somewhere so that we're kind of clear.
Like
about
from
how
the,
that
from
looks?
Rosebud view?
Well, from the west elevation,
Yeah.
anyway,
Forest.
what would face forest?
So what is labeled as the east elevation is actually the west elevation is what you're facing the forest.
The west elevation faces forest, correct?
The
Yeah.
long one, the long one, the long
Yeah,
elevation.
the long one.
Yeah.
And Angus is suggesting that the eave part is the part that faces south. All right, so is that it?
Mhm.
Okay, Stephen?
Yeah.
He's asleep.
Yeah, I
Abby,
wish.
yeah.
I'm over here racking my brain.
Yeah.
This is just, it's such a difficult problem. Well, let me back up on our cardinal points. That's gonna materially change the layout. Or we're just gonna relabel the elevations.
It's just relabeled.
Relabel.
All right, so just to make sure.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go with what's before us. I really think, I'm just gonna say it, I'm sorry, but I think, the lot is begging for, 2 or 3 row houses and an opportunity to kind of leverage, historic floor plans. What we're doing here is putting a conventional design home, which Nantucket typical, onto these narrow lots. And I think that's what we're all struggling with. Insofar as what's before us, I think the more appropriate design is the prior submitted. However, I do think that it really pushes the boundaries of what is acceptable on the law. And I want to be clear, like, I understand this, this isn't like going and buying a pair of shoes, I'll try those on and I'll try those on. I mean, there's an expense involved in these plans and so on and so forth. It's not lost on me, but I do have concerns. Do we know the status of the other lots, any chance?
I don't believe they've been sold, right?
They're not even on the
You guys are working on putting a downward pressure on the sale
Actually,
prices?
No, I talked to one of the neighbors who appears to be brother to the person who sold the land to us, and he said they're not planning on selling these lots anytime soon.
All right, I was
They
curious.
they just want to keep it in the family, and they sold it for us because we are planning to live there with our families.
Gotcha.
They had a cash offer for commercial.
All right. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
they
not-
didn't want commercial there, even though it's a
it's not
commercial zone.
germane
So
to I was just curious. And by the way, Lubin came to Nantucket and started to work for me. And it's just wonderful to see you planted your roots and growing your family here.
Thank you, sir.
But in any event, yeah, I'm concerned, but of these two designs, the prior submitted, I think, is the most appropriate. And I think this and the other structure, for me to be on board potentially with approving them, they need to be, there's a lot going on here internally with program. And there has to be if the widths and the lengths are gonna be what they are, there needs to be a sacrifice in the heights. I know the front one is only 23 feet tall, but it's got the dormers on the front and it's close to the road, and this is not close to the road, but it's sideline to sideline. To me, there has to be some kind of a trade-off.
so either smaller in square footage or smaller in height.
Something needs to
Like-
be,
yeah.
to me, to help offset the sideline to side, the setback to nearly setback to setback.
Okay.
Just to get that out there. But I think, you've made changes and they're helpful, and you're on the right path. Unless you decide to go with row houses and get a big front yard out of it. But the row house is in the back end though. What's the overall size of the lot?
How much? 6,700.
And what's, okay.
Yeah,
thank
what's
you.
the, yeah, I
Sorry.
was wondering what the width was.
40.
Yeah, it's 43 by 150.
Okay,
So-
thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, you know, I too think that the previous submission was better, but I'm gonna add something to it. I think the one thing that I actually appreciate in the newer design that was lacking in the old one was the rebate, the little recessed area in between. Because if I'm not mistaken, and I can't really get it up on my computer, the previous plan was essentially a rectangle.
Yeah.
You know, is one rectangular box with a gable, and another gable like that. If there's any way to like bring back this, you know, sort of to Stephen's point, the little rebate in some form or another
Okay.
would actually give some dimension to this building that this sort of flat facade on all four sides does not. So I'm just gonna leave you with that.
We can definitely do that because we have the back house, kind of the roof line going all the way to meet the peak at the front.
Yeah.
But we could cut that in and lower that and then make the groove in. Yeah, recess like right in the middle.
That
And then-
sounds good to me.
Yeah.
That sounds good to me. Okay, so we're gonna move for some revision.
I'll make that
Good
motion.
discussion. Thank you, Abby, on that. So Abby's made a motion to hold for revisions. On that motion, Angus,
Aye.
Stephen,
Aye.
Abby,
Aye.
Joseph,
Aye.
and I'm in favor. Okay, folks.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thanks.
guys.
Well, here we are. Can we move the minutes of July 7th?
So moved.
Thank you. I'm gonna do everyone at the table voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you, John. Again, voice vote at the table. All those in favor of John McLaughlin's motion to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice night.
Night, you
Good
guys.
night. Good night.